Welcome to Comicstorian Supercuts, where we take full stories that are related to each other to give you an insanely long but fun video to watch. Today is the Crisis on Infinite Earths Supercut. This is one that Benny had on our Supercut list because not many are aware of the fact that Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths is touted as the sequel to Crisis on Infinite Earths. Who knew? So here it is. The Crisis on Infinite Earths Supercut. Enjoy.
In the beginning, there was only black, a darkness so complete that even burning light could do nothing to pierce it. But finally, the light grew, the darkness receded. In that moment, the multiverse was born, shuddering and vibrating with small changes. What should have been one world became many. But now, a hooded figure stands and watches as a white wave of negative energy cascades over the earth. He watches as people run in fear as the wave erases all before them. Yet, there is no running, and they are swallowed up by the nothingness. As they run, he pushes past them, for as they run from the end, he is drawn to it, forced to watch the death rattle of the multiverse. And he reaches for the sea of nothing. Let me die alone with it! He curses, but no, he has already begun to disappear once more. Earth 3, a world that will soon reach its end. Powering, a member of the crime syndicate, tries to use up all of his power to stop the volcanoes from erupting and destroying within their patches. No use, Ultraman. My ring won't seal these volcanoes fast enough. Nature's gone insane, he calls to his comrade, but Ultraman already knows. It's more than nature. It's the whole universe. I've used my telescopic vision and we're the only world that remains. Ultraman flies down, trying to place a barrier between the city and the paths of the lava flow. Once they terrorized this world, but now the crime syndicate is fighting to save it. Elsewhere, Johnny Quick and Owlman watch as a wave of endless nothing crawls towards them. Beachgoers running in fear. We're gonna die like the rest of them, Owlman tells his friend, and Johnny's eyes widen in fear. Over in Metropolis, Lex Luthor flies through the air, watching as the wave of nothing is destroying the very city itself. With my powers, I can't save them. I feel so useless, he whispers, and he sees one of his enemies, Superwoman, trying to stop the wave. He calls out to her, trying to aid her, but the woman is suddenly swallowed by a wave of antimatter. Gone, as if she never even existed. Though we battled time and time again, I never wanted her to die like that. He muses, and the hero streaks away, flying to his own headquarters. It's over, but if I am to perish, let it be at the side of my loving wife. He enters the base, finding his wife Lois with their young son. My love, it is only a matter of time, he tells her, sadness in his voice, tears filling his eyes as he draws her close. I can die peacefully, knowing that I'm with you, she tells him before looking down at their small child. But our son is so young. He has been cheated of living and knowing love. Must he perish as well? Luthor releases his wife, beckoning for her to join him in the next room. And within the next chamber, he shows her a pod. The hooded figure then appears, listening as Lex explains that he has built this device to bridge the gap between dimensions. He takes his son, placing him into the pod. We will die, but our son shall live, he tells Lois. Outside, the wave of antimatter takes the lives of Johnny Quick and Owlman. Power Ring, turning, sees the hooded figure. Who are you, man? He demands to know. I am Farah, and I mourn for this world about to die, the hooded figure cries. Power Ring moves against him, certain that this is the being that is causing the trouble. But Farah puts his head into his hands. No, mine is not the hand which slays the worlds. Now Ultraman turns, staring at the wave of antimatter. Then I guess this is it, he states simply, beginning to walk forward. Power Ring calls out to him, demanding to know what he is doing. What I have done my whole life, fighting to the very end. And Ultraman launches himself forward, flying into the wave of nothing. As the antimatter wave closes over everything, Lex pulls Lois in tight, holding her close. The pod begins to spin, going faster and faster as the wave is approaching them. My love, so the world ends, and our hopes and prayers live on. The pod suddenly leaps into the air in a shower of light, disappearing into the sky with Lois and Lex holding each other, kissing one last time as the earth is swallowed up and becomes no more. The pod continues to spin, vibrating through the dimensions, finally passing from one dead universe and into a living one, crashing against the Justice League watchtower of Earth 1. But the watchtower has been abandoned, and the baby sleeps fitfully within its pod. On his own watchtower, the being known as the Monitor watches as worlds are destroyed and universes are blinking out of existence. "It begins again, Lila," he explains to his aide. "The shudder of one universe ending, and the plaintive cry of another about to die. It is time, my dear, for us to act." It is July 1985, and the Monitor turns to the woman. "I know what to do and whom to summon," he tells her. The woman nods, but questions the Monitor's decision. Why not both Supermans and Wonder Womans? Why not the most powerful of those that we have observed? She asks. The Monitor nods, explaining that he has watched the past, the present, the future, and he knows that the only way towards victory is through the heroes and villains fighting alongside each other, but he pauses, letting her know that another path has been made available. "Lila, energize now, while I retrieve the infant sent here from Earth 3. She nods, and energy begins to surge around her, and the energy begins to swirl and transform her. And she becomes the being known as Harbinger. Streaking across time and space through the multiverse, she arrives in Gorilla City, appearing before King Solovar, and pulls him from reality. Then to the 31st century, where the Legionnaire known as Dawnstar is taken. Then to Earth 2, 1942. The woman known as Firebrand is shocked as her world suddenly freezes and Harbinger appears. And with a touch, she is gone. In each of these worlds, shadows watch as these heroes and villains are taken, and laughter echoes throughout the multiverse. Harbinger continues her mission, traveling to the distant past, searching for the Atlantean mage known as Orion. She is caught unaware as a dark shadow lashes out, piercing her body. Darkness fills her eyes, and an evil smile pulls across her lips. She discovers the wizard, traveling through the city of the prehistoric Earth, and he rears back, attempting to defeat her with magic, but Harbinger uses her powers, destroying the ice beneath his feet. The wizard plummets, falling to his death until she pulls him from the multiverse. Yet she doesn't slow, arriving on Earth 2 to pull out Psycho Pirate from his cell within a mental institution. She then brings the villain to the present-day Earth 1, where they arrive to find Firestorm fighting against an evil Killer Frost. They stop the battle with Psycho Pirate, transforming Frost's hatred for Firestorm into a feeling of love. Harbinger's mission comes to an end, and the team of heroes and villains are finally brought together on the Monitor's watchtower. Those who have met in the past group together, discussing the idea that everything could possibly be ending, and others not as trusting of the villains that surround them. What could threaten both Earth 1 and 2? Superman questions Obsidian. "You know everyone here? Some of these guys give me the spooks," the shadowy hero admits, and the villain known as Simon leans over the railing, trying to warn the others of an impending attack. From the darkest corners of the room, the shadows suddenly seem to form and leap to destroy the powered beings, and some question how this could have even happened. "Don't you see we've been set up? Harbinger lied to us," Superman tells them, and John Stewart leaps into action, blasting away the shadows, but the green light passes right through them. Superman punches away, calling for Obsidian to help them, and the Gorilla King Solovar leaps to the aid of Dawnstar, knocking away her own shadowy assailant. "Don't be daydreaming, human! Don't you realize we've been caught in a way?" he bellows. "You're an ape who can talk?" she questions. "You're a human with wings. Reality holds surprises for everyone." The heroes continue to fight, and then some, such as Blue Beetle, discover that they could do little against these beings, while others, such as Obsidian and Orion, discover that their own powers work well against the creatures. All seems lost until a beaming light pierces the room, blinding all of those present and banishing the shadows from the chamber. And from one side, those gathered finally hear a voice. "The attack was not planned, but it was also not unexpected. Please do not blame Harbinger," the Monitor tells them. He hits a switch and the lights dim, revealing him to all those who have gathered. "Allow me to properly introduce myself. I am the Monitor. I have summoned you here because your universes are about to die." Earth 1. Darkness surrounds the mansion of the billionaire, Harold Standish. Inside, the Joker stands over the body of the man whose mouth has been twisted into a hideous grin. He laughs, placing the fedora on his head. With the billionaire dead, he now has the copyrights to the old movie reels that could be worth millions. The windows shatter inward as Batman leaps from the night, his cape bellowing like leathery bat wings. "The Batman? You deciphered my clue! Amazing! Even I was stumped when I wrote it!" Turning his pistol towards the hero. Batman lashes out, knocking the Joker to the ground, and he moves in, preparing to take him down. But the Joker sprays him with a flower on his chest, covering the caped Crusader in a sticky goo. Getting to his feet, the Joker retrieves his gun, preparing to shoot the Dark Knight, when suddenly energy begins to spark around them, and the Joker looks up to see the Flash struggling towards them. "Help me! Someone! Anyone! Help! The Flash struggles and he groans, and the Joker aims his pistol, but a batarang knocks it out of his hands as Batman frees himself. You're going back to Arkham where you belong, the Dark Knight tells him, but the Flash is still talking, so Batman turns away from his nemesis. Please, can't you see the world around me? It's dying, all around me, the Flash says, and the Joker runs as Batman steps towards the Flash, horror in his eyes, as the Flash begins to disintegrate. Where are you, Flash? I can help you, Batman tells his friend as he disappears before him. The world is dying! Save us! Save us! Save us! He moans and is suddenly gone. Dear God, what is happening? Batman asks, stunned. Back at the Monitor space station, the 15 beings that he has summoned stand before him. Already, more than 1,000 universes have perished, he explains to them. He then shows them images of the antimatter wave washing over the entire universe. First, your world will feel nature's wrath as your planets cry out in agony. Then shall come the nothingness, sweeping across your worlds, taking with it everything. Firestorm steps forward, accusing the Monitor of selling weapons to supervillains within their world. Superman of Earth 2 tries to quiet the growing anger towards the being. I've heard of this Monitor too. I suggest we hear him out, he explains, bringing the group to a silence. The Monitor sighs, taking his seat as a wave of exhaustion overtakes him. If he's telling the truth, we'll save our worlds. If he's lying, no power exists that can defeat us all, Superman explains, and the Monitor looks out at the group as they wait for his explanation. Understand, I am linked to all positive matter. It flows through me and gives me power. But as the antimatter destroys more and more, I weaken. Soon, if you fail, I will be helpless to prevent my foe from destroying all that exists. I've tested all of you, and more, pitted you against one another to fully catalog your abilities. You are my initial force. Others will be summoned as their abilities are required. A grumble of dissent moves through the room, with some still showing distrust towards the Monitor. Why do you argue? Harbinger asks, stepping back into the room. Pledge your aid to the Monitor. She explains that the Monitor has planted devices within 5 crucial eras throughout time that will halt the antimatter tide. 5 eras will coincide with the existence of heroes such as yourself, for the presence of heroic ideals creates its own focal points. You must protect them from our enemies. Then you must engage them on our command. Orion looks on as Harbinger is speaking, sensing a great darkness within her. The Monitor is weak. What is your answer? Speak! Superman steps forward, speaking for the group. We'll help, and we'll know soon enough if it's all true. What are these places that you're sending us to? Blue Beetle asks. As an answer, Harbinger uses her powers once more, and the room is filled with the energy as the group is separated, scattered to the different corners of the multiverse itself. On his watchtower, Harbinger tells Monitor that he can rest now to conserve his strength. And a single tear forms in her eyes. She knows that she cannot resist the darkness that is calling to her. She's forced to obey his commands, and soon, she will betray the Monitor. Our Earth 1 Superman arrives on the rooftop of the Daily Planet where Batman has summoned him. The Caped Crusader explains to Superman what he saw when the Flash appeared to him. Praise heaven! Help at last! Pariah yells, startling the two men as he appears on the rooftop with them. Who are you? Superman asks. I am called Pariah. I need you, both of you. Your legends reached my world long before my exile. It's your world and your universe. Your Earth is dying, as have the other Earths before. He begins to explain, but the two heroes look on stunned as Pariah begins to fade from their reality. No, I'm being called away! I cannot resist! Help! He screams before disappearing, and in the far future, the last boy on Earth, Kamandi, climbs the strange golden tower that has appeared in his world. The Earth is destroyed around him, and the remains of the Statue of Liberty rest in the waters behind him. He pulls himself upward by a vine, but from the golden tower, a strange shadow creature appears, cutting the rope above him. I'm done for! The boy cries as he plummets back to Earth, and a strong arm reaches out, taking his hand. Not quite, lad. Superman smiles at him. You're safe in my hands. The Man of Steel brings the boy back to the tower as Dawnstar and Solivar continue to climb it. Boy, when did it appear? Is there more than one? Solivar growls, and Kamandi stares at the talking gorilla, believing him to be one of the killers of his world. Happily, boy, I am no such thing. I am not even of your time period, Solivar explains. Kamandi stares into the ape's eyes, seeing a kindness that he hasn't seen in any of the creatures of his own world. Dawnstar streaks by, attacking the shadow creatures that have reappeared. They don't seem as strong here as they did on Monitor's ship, she tells them. Superman agrees, easily dropping another with his heat vision. One of the monsters grasps Kamandi, burning the boy's shoulder where they touched him, but Solivar is there protecting him. The shadows put up less of a fight this time, quickly fleeing from the gathering heroes. Dawnstar wishes to pursue, But Solivar disagrees, making sure that Kamandi is safe. We were brought here to protect the machine, not leave it alone for a second attack, he explains, and in the distance, Harbinger watches the heroes and laughs. Let them protect the machine. It will serve those fools no good. Their efforts will be rewarded with death. Later, on the Monitor's watchtower, Harbinger enters the chamber where the young baby from Earth 3 is waiting. She is shocked, however, when she discovers that the infant is no more, and sitting in the chamber is now a young boy. In ancient Atlantis, Orion, Obsidian, and Psychopirate walk towards the city, another of the golden towers jutting from the center of the ancient metropolis. This is Atlantis? Obsidian questions. I've heard of it. I've seen it in movies, but nothing could have prepared me for what it's really like. Psychopirate smiles, feeling the emotions of all of the people housed within the city. Use your emotion-controlling powers on them once, Psychopirate, and my punishment will be swift. They enter the city where the mage is welcomed by his subjects. And as he explains what happened to his guards, Obsidian appears at his shoulder. It's Psychopirate. Where is he? I can't find him anywhere. Outside the city, Pirate suddenly turns, feeling the power of raw terror. Behind him, Farah appears. Where am I? I need to know, he exclaims. Atlantis, don't ask the year, Psychopirate explains, and Farah seems distraught, so Psychopirate removes his mask, revealing his face with a smile. Farah is shocked and suddenly begins to laugh, falling to the ground struggling when suddenly Psychopirate is knocked to the ground by a magical attack. He turns to see the angered mage walking towards him. Mistake, friends. Real mistake. You see, absorbing Purple Hair's emotions increased my strength. What you fools need is a healthy dose of terror. He snarls, lashing out with his powers, when suddenly those around Orion begin to suffer the feelings of abject terror coursing through their minds. Orion tries to defend himself with magic, but he can't stop the feelings that fill him. Obsidian leaps forward, clocking the mage in his shadows. The madness fades. Thank you, Obsidian, Orion tells him, and Psychopirate stands, power filling him, but suddenly there's a spark of energy and he disappears. The villain lays in a realm of complete darkness now, away from the battle, away from Orion and Obsidian. What happened? Where am I? Psychopirate, I need you. A voice growls in the black. The pirate looks around, seeing nothing. Show me your face and I'll teach you the meaning of terror, he shouts, but the man's face suddenly disappears, becoming nothing more than smooth skin. Fool! You want a face without one of your own? You want to scream, don't you? Well, you cannot, not without a mouth. The man's face suddenly reappears though, and he struggles back to his feet. If you wish to live, let me know. But to live, you must serve as I demand. Your answer, now! Back at Atlantis, Orion and Obsidian question the man known as Farah. He explains that he was exiled from his world and is cursed to watch as each multiverse is destroyed one by one. Before he can explain further, one of the Atlanteans points to the sky where a growing wave of nothingness is sweeping towards them. I am sorry, Farah tells them, but it begins anew. In a matter of hours, your Earth will die. On his watchtower, Harbinger watches as Monitor searches for an empath to replace the lost Psychopirate. Though she stares, a voice fills her mind and she finds herself in the black room. The shadowy figure tells her that the Monitor will fail, that his strength grows as the Monitor weakens. He turns, ordering her to leave. Work must be done. On board the Monitor satellite, the being is studying the former child known as Alex Luthor. Astounding! I've never seen the likes of your kind before, he explains. In the space of days, you have aged from infancy to adolescence. Yet you, child of Earth 3, are remarkable for reasons far beyond your rapid aging. The boy questions why the Monitor continues to test him, and the being explains that he is filled with both positive and negative energy. I feel you are the key to the terror at hand, for you somehow bridge this universe and the universe which threatens to swallow us all. But the boy questions what would happen if he cannot help the Monitor in his quest. The cosmic being is silent, for he has no answer to this question. And behind him, Harbinger enters the room asking if Monitor needs help with anything, but he is silent. Does he know? Harbinger questions herself. Does the Monitor know that she will betray him to his greatest enemy? She moves through the station, but her mind is once again returned to the dark room of her master. I have news of the Monitor, she informs him. Good, good. The Master will hear you, Psychopirate tells her, smiling at her, sensing her fear of him. Away from me, Psychopirate! I am not here for you! She snaps at the villain, and from the shadows her master speaks. Silence, Psychopirate. Your meaningless prattle annoys me. The being's icy voice calls out to him. Harbinger, I know why you are here indeed. I know all as soon as the Monitor himself thinks it. Destroy the Luthor child. The dead can present no threat to us. Now go, do as I command, he orders her. And in the future of Earth 1, the Flash is running as fast as he can, trying to save as many lives as possible. The Earth has gone crazy with volcanoes opening up in the cities as winds tear through the buildings. He's knocked to his feet, tumbling to the ground, and he looks up in terror as he sees a growing wave of antimatter swallowing everything before it. What is that? He exclaims, but the speedster knows that he has one chance, and he begins to alter the vibration of his body, fading out of existence. In July of 1985, the Teen Titans look up the growing wave of antimatter as it swallows the city around them. Nightwing screeches to a halt on his motorcycle, calling out orders to his team, and he orders the others to rally, to hold down the panic of the civilians. The heroes combine their efforts and they save some of the falling buildings, but it's just not enough. Meanwhile, in the sky, Starfire is blasting away at the antimatter field, only to discover it's having no effect. "It's no use. My star bolts are absorbed by whatever that is," she tells the team. As another building begins to crumble, Wonder Girl begins to lower people down to the ground with her lasso. And from the ground, Nightwing watches as another building begins to fall behind her. He calls out to his teammate, but she can't hear him over the chaos. And at the last second, a blur suddenly arrives, pushing Donna to the floor. "Sorry to push you down like that, Wonder Girl, but I had no choice," Superman tells her as he stands up, brushing himself off. "You okay?" On the ground, Batman joins the group of Titans and Outsiders. "Something's out there. We don't know how much time we have left," Batman informs them. The heroes gather together and Katana is suddenly shocked, pointing behind Batman. "Not again. This time it's not merely an image," Batman exclaims as he sees the Flash standing before him. "Batman, thank heavens! Something is happening in the future. Everything is unraveling at the seams." Batman tries to get the Flash to calm down, but the same thing as before happens. "I have to speak to you." But the Flash pauses as a strange feeling begins to overtake his body. Batman moves forward, believing that he can pull the Flash free of the glow around his body. "I've got to stop this before the image I saw comes true." But Jericho, son of Deathstroke, leaps forward, knocking the Darknet aside before he can touch the Flash. The heroes watch in horror as the speedster seems to stretch before them, fading into existence, his screams of help echoing around them. And in deep space, the living computer known as Brainiac sits within his command chair, watching as the antimatter wave swallows up all before him. He knows that he cannot remain here or he will be destroyed. His ship turns, rocketing through the vastness of space. "I need assistance on Earth. Only the one called Luthor can help me now," he notes. In 1944, Markovia, the snow falls from the skies as the Nazis move through the city, bombs exploding and gunfire rattling over the destroyed ruins. But the people do not fight alone, and Sergeant Rock and his howling commandos begin to sweep through the city, their weapons sighted on the soldiers of the Third Reich. One of the men look up, startled by the appearance of a golden tower in the middle of the city, and Sergeant Rock's men look up, surprised to find Dr. Polaris and Geoforce flying above them. "By the magnetic stream, the monitors sent us to World War II!" Dr. Polaris cries. But anger fills Geoforce. "My home country lies below! Markovia! The Nazis slaughtered my people. Perhaps now I can get some payback," he yells. The two costumed heroes begin to attack the German soldiers as Sergeant Rock looks on. "Rock, this war's crazy or something?" Wildman asks. "It's always been crazy. Now it's for the record books," Rock confirms. And above them, Ted Qward is flying in his airship, the Bug, watching his friends. But he knows that the fighting isn't why they were sent here. Below, the Nazis have begun to take cover around the Golden Tower, but the commandos, allied with the costumed fighters, launch an assault. "Come on, let's hit 'em hard!" Rock yells, firing his Thompson as he runs forward. Reaching the tower, one of the commandos begins to climb the strange metal, but one of the shadow creatures then emerges, taking the man's arms, and he screams, drawing the attention of the rest of the commandos. "Stay back, soldiers! Let me deal with this," Geoforce tells them. "Like hell, mister. This war's for soldiers, not mystery men like you all-star heroes." Rock growls at him, and the group rounds the corner, discovering the men being killed by the shadow creatures. "Move it, easy company, now!" Rock yells, and his men open fire on the monsters. The shadows all move in, disintegrating everything that they touch, and Rock's men begin to fall one by one. But up above, Blue Beetle lowers himself into the Golden Tower, unsure why the Monitor would think that he would be useful in this fight. Ted Qward is a scientist. Maybe my scientific expertise are needed, he wonders. And as the hero examines the machine, one of the shadow creatures lashes out, grasping him. He screams as pain is coursing through his body, but the monster suddenly explodes, and Beetle is stunned for a moment as he holds on. Of course, the scarab the original Blue Beetle gave me. He said it had mystical powers. But Beetle still looks in fear as the shadows begin to close in around him. He dodges, trying to tumble out of the way. Meanwhile, in his station, the Monitor watches as Qward is slipping and falling, plummeting towards the Earth. Despite his lack of powers, I was hoping Blue Beetle's scarab would aid in my mission here. Unfortunately, that is not the case. His assistance is no longer required. Thus, I shall return him and the other wounded one to their time. In 1944, Blue Beetle suddenly disappears in a flash of energy. And in the far future, Superman, Dawnstar, Solovar, and Kamandi watch as the sky pulses angry in red. Dawnstar, is it wrong for a Superman to say that he's frightened? Solovar then aids Kamandi in fixing his wounds, but the ape suddenly collapses from his own wounds. The last boy on Earth cradles him, telling his new friend not to die. Don't leave me, he cries, but Solovar looks on with sadness. I have no choice, lad. Be good, he whispers. The others watch as the great King Solovar disappears in a flash of energy. And throughout time, the heroes fight to protect the Monitor's devices. Despite their efforts, the antimatter wave continues forward, destroying everything before it. All while the Monitor's watching from his satellite. He moves quicker than I expected. Instead of days, we only have hours. The Earths are doomed, the Monitor exclaims. No, it is time to activate your machines. But a voice suddenly calls out from behind him. And it's time for you to die, Harbinger cries as the Monitor turns. July, 1985. The red skies have given way to electrical storms and snow sweeping from it. Supergirl flies through the air, brought to the city by a call from Barbara Gordon, who floats above and in the distance. And that's when the two heroes can see the wave of nothingness moving forward. They sit and talk, with Batgirl frightened by the end that draws near. I feel so useless, helpless, worthless, so very scared, Batgirl tells her, tears in her eyes. Supergirl nods, looking out over the waves. I'm scared too, but I can't let that stop me from doing what I have to do, she tells her. And in the distance, the two watch as a plane begins to break up, with the pilot falling towards the antimatter wave. Supergirl leaps into action, saving the pilot at the last second, and Batgirl wonders how her friend can think of saving others at a time like this. When I could only think of myself, what will I become? Batgirl questions. Meanwhile, over on the Monitor satellite, he sits back in his chair, aware that his enemy is close. With the death of Earth 1, he shall gain even more power. Then, none will be powerful enough to stop him. But there's one chance. My new warrior, he cries as he flips a few switches. An ion beam rips through the cosmos, aiming for an unstable star in the Vega system. The beam strikes the star, causing it to ripple and shoot back outwards. And in Japan, a young scientist named Dr. Hoshi looks up into the night sky, and using the strange antimatter wave's destruction of physics to see far beyond the galaxy, her eyes widen in shock as she sees the ion beam coming towards Earth. In a split second, it makes contact, destroying the lab around her. The Monitor watches as the other scientists are shocked to find the lab destroyed and the young woman is now gone. And meanwhile, while this is going on, in his darkened lair, our enemy is watching the hero, known as Red Tornado. One of the most powerful members of the Justice League. He waves his hand and the hero appears in the dark chamber. Hiya, robot. Or are you an android? A cyborg, maybe? I can never remember, Psycho Pirate says in a greeting. Red Tornado turns to the villains, demanding to know where he is, and if they are the ones responsible for what is happening to the Earth. More than just your Earth, android. Come now. We have a universe to destroy. Now across time and two Earths, the heroes are continuing their battle. But their efforts are in vain as the shadow beings begin to combine, growing stronger. It happens in every era, across both worlds. In 1985, another golden tower appears. Starfire moves towards it, wishing to destroy it in hopes that it will stop the calamity. But the woman once known as Hoshi appears, now as the new Dr. Light. You stupid Cretans! You don't realize what you're doing! She yells, and she orders them to get back. It's all that could save the planet. Starfire is shocked as the woman's words are in Japanese. And Superman tells her that the new Dr. Light seems to be defending the machine. Dr. Light lashes out with her new powers, crying for them to get back, and Starfire and Halo are knocked away, momentarily blinded. Superman flies in, speaking to Dr. Light in Japanese, trying to understand what is happening. The antimatter sweeps through our universe, and only I can save us. Do you understand? She asks. Above, the Monitor watches as the wave sweeps across the Earth. This is happening all too fast. He saps my strength with each universe that dies, he whispers. And though all of my warriors fight valiantly, all is not ready. I, Harbinger, the child of Luther, and Farah are all that stand between. But the Monitor stops, sensing the arrival of his ally. Farah appears, shock on his face as he looks around. Greetings, Farah. I have been awaiting your arrival, the Monitor tells him, and Farah stares at the Monitor's home in awe as he explains the situation. I was the one responsible for your survival. You should have died for your sins, the Monitor explains. Anger flashes through Farah as he demands to know why the Monitor would curse him. I've sacrificed much of my own life so that you would live. You should be grateful. The Monitor shows Farah the images of his machines, and even as the heroes are fighting to defend them, the worlds are separated by vibration and time. My machines will bring them together. As the two watch on, Farah informs the Monitor that the heroes can't win. Even now, they are fighting a losing battle across all time and space. These worlds will die, Monitor. Like all the others I have been forced to watch die. But the Monitor knows how this will end and asks only that Farah not harm the girl until all is made clear. Harm who? Who are you talking about? Too late, you old fool! Harbinger yells from behind them, and Monitor turns to see his former ally. I have been waiting for you. An energy blast courses from the woman, hitting the Monitor. He commands me now, Monitor! And his command is death! She screams, and with this done, the Harbinger plummets from the walkway, with Farah watching as she disappears. He runs back to the being, begging the Monitor to explain everything to him. Tell me what to do! Tell me how to activate the machines, he cries. But the Monitor is now gone. Farah cries over his body. Hope is lost, and tears fall from his eyes across time and space of both worlds. The antimatter wave is now pushing forward, and the heroes watch, unable to do anything as both of their worlds fade into nothing, and they have failed. It is done. The first two prime universes are gone, but why has my strength not increased? The dark voice of Ice calls into his chamber. The Monitor is dead, yet his energies have not flowed into me. Two universes are gone, yet I have not received their power. Psycho Pirate steps forward, pleading with the voice. Please, tell me what's going on. I can help. Haven't I controlled our two captives? You haven't told me. Why do we need them? You have me. You are rapidly outlasting your welcome here, Pirate. Even your powers can be replaced. The voice growls, but back at the Monitor station, Pariah stands over the body. He looks up, startled, to find a woman known as Lila sitting nearby. Tell me it's not true, she begs. I killed him, didn't I? I had this nightmare that I did, but I wouldn't do it, not unless I was being controlled. Pariah stands, shaking the woman, trying to make sense of what she is saying, when suddenly the Monitor's voice echoes through the chamber, stunning them both. Lila, if you can hear me, do not grieve over what you have done. They both turned, seeing an image of the Monitor's face playing on a screen. I was aware of your possession. I knew that it was going to occur. You had no choice but to slay me, Lila. But by doing so, you have fulfilled my last request. My body died, yet my essence lived on. Killing me, Lila, released all of my energy. Energy which more than just powered my vibrational forks. They stare at the Monitor as he explains that from his death was a netherverse that was created that now houses both Earth 1 and 2. In my haste to save the world, all time has become one. The vibrations which separate the universes are slowing down, merging, and when they occupy the same space at the same time, they will destroy each other. The Monitor's last message ends and Lila leans over the body, tears falling from her eyes as she tells him that she loved him. He knew it, Lila, and he loved you, Alex tells her, entering the room in golden armor. They question who the man is as Lila last saw him as a young boy. He left me with instructions on how to save the world and those about to die. Alexander explains, and in the darkness, the icy voice calls out in anger. Damn him! Now I know what he did. But that fool, in dying, only delayed the inevitable. I'll have those worlds yet, and there are still others to conquer before then. Psycho Pirate demands to know when he will get what he was promised. For now, you may play with our human guest if you wish, just do not slay him. The voice commands and the villain turns with a smile, seeing the Flash standing before him. Why am I here? What's going on? I want answers! The Flash demands, and the pirate turns to him, beating the Flash with the emotion of terror. The hero falls to the ground, struggling to get away as fear begins to fill his body. Don't hurt me! He screams out, and throughout the world, news reports come in from all over the past, present, and future that they have all come together. Dinosaurs are rampaging through the city as biplanes and spaceships fly overhead. Ancient temples now sit next to futuristic skyscrapers, while World War II soldiers stare stunned at pilgrims. The heroes of Earth are suddenly teleported to the Monitor satellite, where Harbinger urges them to help aid her in saving the two worlds. Alexander Luthor and Pariah aid her as the heroes look up in the crowded room. Harbinger, you called us here once before and look what happened. You lied to us. The World War II hero Firebrand shouts up. Some of the heroes grumble and they join in the dissension, but Superman steps forward. I've heard of this Monitor, and it's obvious that something wrong is happening. I'm listening. The Man of Steel tells the room. So am I. If the world is at stake, Wonder Woman stands ready. Diana joins in. We need your help now more than ever. The Monitor is dead. I only know some of what has happened, Alexander explains. He tells them that their enemy seeks the destruction of all positive matter universes, that the universes are split into a multiverse at the beginning of time. To save all life, we must return to being one universe again. The heroes grumble within the chamber, unsure if they should aid these beings in their mission. Return to your worlds, see for yourselves the danger, but decide quickly. There is little time before the final universes perish and before we could save all of what's left of ours. He tells them, and the heroes stare in silence for a moment before Earth 2 Superman steps back forward. Maybe I'm wrong talking for everyone, Pariah, but I will. Send us back, let the doubters decide. But I promise you this, if we can save the worlds that remain, we will. Meanwhile, in deep space, a ship lands on the planet Oa, and members of the Green Lantern Corps begin to disembark, eager to learn why their rings have stopped functioning. They push forward to the central battery only to discover that the Guardians float, trapped in a form of stasis. Back on Earth, people are dealing with all of time merging. Superman saves Lois from a saber-toothed tiger before introducing her to his Earth 2 counterpart. Alfred calls the Bat family to the Wayne Manor to show them the Bear Tribe cavemen that have appeared inside. In the enemy's dark lair, though, Flash looks on as Red Tornado seems to be tortured. Please, I don't know what you did to me, but please leave him alone, he begs, fear still gripping his body, but the voice laughs, explaining that Red Tornado is not man nor machine, but instead a primal force of nature. I am changing him into what he was meant to be. Never again will he be the Red Tornado you once knew. On Earth, the confusion continues, with people seeing loved ones that passed away long ago. Members of the Legion of Superheroes seeing ghostly images of heroes from Earth 2. Some they recognize while others are a complete mystery. And finally, the destruction is too much for the heroes to aid, and they call Alexander Luthor, Harbinger, and Pariah, the Justice Society, the Justice League, the Heroes of Atlantis, the Titans and the Metal Men, Batman and the Outsiders, the Legion of Superheroes. Both Supermen now look at each other and they nod, making the call. Heroes, villains, survivors, they will all come together. It is the only way to save the Earth. Back at the station, Alexander explains to his first group of heroes that they must save the last remaining 5 universes that have enough power to stop the enemy. He's about to send them through the vortex when Pariah interrupts him. I sense disaster, he yells, and the satellite begins to shake and tremble, with energy swirling around it, threatening to rip it apart. We gotta get off this thing, Hawkman yells. No, I still have a mission to perform, Alexander responds, and in the darkened lair, the enemy and Psycho Pirate watch the satellite rip itself apart. This will merely delay my enemies, the icy voice intones, not prevent them from resisting me. You talk big, mister, but I haven't seen you do anything to prove yourself, the Flash tells him, struggling to his feet as he begins to shake off the effects of the Psycho Pirate. Your emotion-controlling dupe can't hold me down. Why do you keep hiding yourself? What are you afraid of? Show yourself! The being turns. Flash, you are a fool if you believe you could bait me. I am not motivated by mere emotion. If you wish to see me, I have no reason that I should deny you that privilege. The light flashes, revealing an armored being, a mask covering his face, which reveals the dead skin around his jaw, his eyes glowing with strange energy as he speaks. Greetings, Flash. I hope the anticipation was worth it. Call me the Monitor. The Monitor stands over the fallen Flash, who continues to struggle against the effects of the Psycho Pirate's power. The Monitor is dead. Now his satellite and his super-powered champion shall die before me. The being calling himself the Monitor cries out. Psycho Pirate begs the being to grant him the power to control the worlds, as he was promised. And finally the Monitor brings him close and in the villain's eyes, he can see the final 3 universes. I now grant your wish. There are 3 Earths left for me to conquer. My foe's champions were just sent there to save those worlds. You shall use your emotion-controlling powers to win me the final victory, the Monitor tells him. Within the Monitor's satellite, the heroes cling to the destruction as the vessel tears itself apart. Alexander yells at them. The shields will protect us until the mission is done. All of you, hurry! Throughout the satellite, Alexander's calling to all of the other heroes, urging them not to abandon the vessel. There is nothing outside but limbo, he tells them. Amidst the chaos of the ship destroying itself, Pariah begins to scream. What is happening? Starfire asks, flying to the man's aid. I'm disappearing again, and that means that there is greater danger elsewhere, he tells her. Alexander steps into the Monitor's machines, knowing that he must use his negative and positive energy to draw the last 3 Earths into the netherverse. But Harbinger appears before him, unwilling to let another die after she destroyed the Monitor. Alexander falls, knocked unconscious by one of the woman's blasts. I'm sorry, Alex. I must do this, she tells him as he falls to the floor, and she leaps into the air, flying through the ship in a blaze of energy. The heroes watch as she passes, flying into the core. Her powers are different, though, created by the Monitor, and in the core of the satellite, she finds her mechanical womb, where her earthly body awaits. Energy coursing out of the woman as she makes contact. The satellite explodes at a shower of debris, destroyed forever. And back on Earth 1, Lex Luthor is caught in a vast storm. But suddenly he is saved, beamed aboard the ship known as Brainiac. Where am I? Who are you? Tell me, robot, he demands, and the living computer orders the billionaire to be silent. I offer you now a plan calculated to make both of us the rulers of this universe, the robot offers him. On the world known as Earth X, the antimatter wave continues to swallow all before it. There's a flash and suddenly a team of heroes appears on the nearby rooftop. What happened? Where are we? One asks. Obviously, on Earth. It's the crux of the crisis. But which Earth? Hawkman asks. The group looks around, startled to find an image of Harbinger floating in the white wave of nothingness before them. That's not what's bothering me, gang, Northwind tells them, looking down at the streets. A group of civilians is running through the streets, headed straight for the antimatter wave. He swoops in trying to stop them, but the crowd doesn't seem to see him, their eyes glassy with fear. It's as if they're being controlled, but the hero is stunned as the group known as the Freedom Fighters appear, knocking him down. The crowd begins to hammer on the hero, throwing him to the earth, with Hawkman swooping in to help, but he's knocked out of the sky as Black Condor lashes out at him. Villain! You and your friends are the cause of this insanity! We'll kill you! He screams. Starfire leaps to help, blasting the other hero with her energy beams, while meanwhile, Dr. Light creates a wall to block the crowd of civilians from running to their deaths. And the antimatter universe, a psycho pirate, glows with his new power, his face showing pain as he speaks to his new master. Monitor, it hurts. So many emotions. I feel like my head is going to explode. Please let me stop. Nonsense, psycho pirate. You wanted a world to control. Now you have 3. The heroes appear on Earth 4, finding themselves attacked by another group of heroes, acting out of terror that seems to grip them. And on Earth 5, Supergirl, Beast Boy, Black Canary, and Wonder Woman find themselves fighting against the Shazam family. The heroes continue to fight across all of the worlds, but suddenly, they're all stunned as the Earths begin to shake beneath their feet. They watch as the images of Harbinger in the antimatter wave raises her arms, and the Earths are drawn from the antimatter cloud that cuts through them, drawn from certain death, drawn through the focus of the Harbinger. In his master's lair, Psycho Pirate suddenly opens up his eyes. I was controlling all of their emotions. All of my power was focused, billions of souls crying out, no! Harbinger draws the other worlds into the netherverse, joining Earths 1 and 2. And then she focuses her powers, saving these worlds, her body suddenly glowing brightly, and suddenly it is no more. Lila opens up her eyes, startled as she looks around to see Alexander Luthor sitting with her, both laying on a chunk of rock, floating through the netherverse. Are they saved? Did I do it? She asks. Harbinger is no more. You sacrificed everything to save those universes, Alex tells her. They both look down at the floating universes below them. They both know that there is still work to be done. Now 5 worlds are slowly merging together, Lila whispers into the void. And finally, Alex looks around at the vast netherverse around them and the lone rock that they stand on. So there's only one other question. How do we get off this floating rock? The beings known as Lila, Alex, and Pariah sit, floating on a hunk of rock within the netherverse. And finally, it's time for them to explain to the heroes of the 5 remaining Earths what led to the possible destruction of the multiverse. Soon, they have gathered together a small group of heroes, and Alexander stands before them. You have come here for answers, and I will give it to you now. It's the beginning of all that has happened, and knowledge may bring about its end. Lila steps forward, her robes flowing around her. Our current crisis began 10 billion years ago. The Earth was little more than cooling gases. The crisis began in a world called Oa, a world of immortals and limitless hope. Lila tells the heroes that the Oans, who possessed mental powers unheard of in history, continue to strive forward, continuing to try and better themselves and the universe. One of their scientists, known as Krona, sought to learn the origins of the universe itself, despite the council ordering him to stop. Krona continued forward, using his machine to peer into the mysteries of the universe. A cosmic bolt exploded through his machine, causing the universe itself to shudder. From this, the evil antimatter universe and the multiverse was born. Because of Krona's evil creation, the Owens created the Green Lantern Corps out of atonement. In the antimatter universe, on the moon of Qward, the double of Oa, an evil life was born. The Anti-Monitor was born. He grew powerful, conquering the world of Qward, and created his own army of Thunderers, the most powerful of which became the Shadow Demons. But the Anti-Monitor was not alone, and on the moon of Oa, the Monitor was born as well. The two beings sensed each other and they lashed out. The attack disabled them both, placing them into a cosmic slumber. I've heard of Qward, but never knew its origins. The Superman of Earth 2 interrupts. What freed the Anti-Monitor? Pariah steps forward to tell his story. On his world, he was a great scientist who learned that the antimatter universe and the multiverse were real. He wished to learn of their secrets, and so he built a great machine. He stepped into the antimatter chamber, and he watched the creation of the universe. But his world was consumed by the antimatter wave created by his machine, and it destroyed all life. He cries for his sins, but Lila informs him that this is also what awoke the Monitor, which might allow existence to be saved. And you? How do you fit into this? Superman asks Lila. Tears fill the woman's eyes as she explains that the Monitor saved her life when she was just a child and he raised her. And I paid him back by killing him. With their story told, the cosmic beings gathered together the strongest heroes of the remaining Earths for an assault into the antimatter universe. They stand ready with Pariah as their guide as Alexander Luthor prepares to open up a wormhole for them. The young man begins to glow as the heroes look on, and energy cracks as the portal is open. Go now! I don't know how long I can hold it open, Alexander tells them, and the heroes leap forward, passing through the barrier. Finally, they pass through and are greeted by the Anti-Monitor's great stone fortress floating in the vast void. Inside, the Anti-Monitor watches the approach of Earth's mightiest heroes. He turns, ordering Psychopower to control the heroes with his powers. But the man stutters, fear playing on his own face. Monitor, you used me to control these worlds. It will take me time to recharge. I can't do anything now. The Anti-Monitor knocks the villain aside, screaming his anger. Very well. I must take matters into my own hands. Elsewhere in the fortress, Pariah continues to lead the heroes forward, sensing the evil of the Anti-Monitor. Suddenly, the stone statues begin to come alive, lashing out against the heroes. One of them knocking Superman of Earth 2 to the ground, and the Kryptonian is surprised to see blood spilling out of his nose. The heroes spread out, locked in battle. Some powers do not work as they should, and the Kryptonians find themselves weakened by the antimatter universe. As the heroes continue to fight, Superman pushes forward, sensing that Pariah and Dr. Light will need him to defeat the Anti-Monitor. But Pariah is knocked down by the shifting fortress, and Dr. Light pushes onward, angered by the situation. Superman catches up with her, and the two enter into a vast chamber. Within, they find the machine that the Anti-Monitor is using to merge the Earths. This is the machine I've got to destroy. With it eliminated, the Earths won't merge and they won't destroy each other. Superman says, stepping forward, but the darkness shifts and the Anti-Monitor emerges, attacking the Man of Steel. In the distance, Supergirl can hear her cousin's screams of pain, and she rushes forward to aid him. The Anti-Monitor raining blow after blow on Superman, drawing blood, knocking him to the ground. But suddenly, Supergirl is there, hammering the villain in his armor. Blow after blow cracks the being's armor until the antimatter energy begins to leak outwards, and he knocks her aside, struggling to his feet. You have destroyed my body. I feel my energies waning. He snarls. As the antimatter energy pulses off the villain, Supergirl struggles to get over to Superman and Dr. Light. Her cousin still laying unconscious, Supergirl orders Dr. Light to take him out of the chamber. When Kara makes her move, she turns, launching herself at the Anti-Monitor. The two locking in battle, exchanging blows. She slams him into the machine, destroying it, but with all of her power. Supergirl, she's no match for the Anti-Monitor. Superman sits up just in time to see the energy blast piercing his cousin, and he screams out her name, Kara! With his shell destroyed, the Anti-Monitor knows that he can remain, and he launches himself out of the fortress into the void. But he warns them as he departs. It's not over yet. I shall stand triumphant at the dawn of time. Outside, the fortress begins to crumble around the heroes, ending the battle with the stone giants. And the heroes gather as Superman holds Kara's body in his arms, her last breath escaping her lips. He screams into the void, tears streaming down his eyes. "It's not fair! Where is the Anti-Monitor? I will kill him for this!" He screams, but Earth 2 Superman is there, telling the young man not to let his hunger for revenge ruin the chance that Kara gave them. The heroes gather as the fortress begins to fall apart. With Pariah as their guide, they fly out once more into the Antimatter universe. Emerging back into the netherverse, the heroes return to their respective Earths. The merging of the 5 Earths has been stopped. They are not fully merged nor separate. For now, life continues as if nothing happened. Such peace will not remain for long. On board a vessel that launched away from the Anti-Monitor's fortress, Psycho Pirate stands, gazing out of the antimatter energy, the body of the Flash hanging above him. He fears for his life since he failed the Anti-Monitor, but now he can only hope that the being is officially dead. "That will not save you, Psycho Pirate," Anti-Monitor warns, stepping out of the antimatter energy to stand aboard the strange ship. He has re-solidified, looking different than he did before. "Supergirl destroyed my outer shell. She almost destroyed me. It took time to construct a new presence around me, but I am ready now. We will land on Qward, and from there we will destroy the remaining Earths." "We? You're not killing me?" Psycho Pirate asks, but the Anti-Monitor tells him that he still requires his talents. Later, the being stands on Qward, watching as his slaves build a mighty antimatter cannon that will obliterate the 5 remaining Earths. His Thunderers work the slaves hard, using their awesome powers to destroy those who slow down the construction. Now, feeling at his full strength again, Psycho Pirate moves through the fortress, and he enters the room where the Flash is hanging, stuck in a constraining gel. "Scared, speedster? If you aren't, you soon will be." But Flash slowly opens his eyes, looking at the villain. "Psycho Pirate, eat Jello," he yells, spinning quickly, launching the gel across the room. He moves fast, cracking the pirate across the jaw, knocking him back. "Maybe your powers have returned, but so have mine. I've been slowly increasing my inner vibrations until I could simply slip through your gelatin jail." The Flash moves around the room in a blur, knocking out his Thunderer guard. He then turns back, and Psycho Pirate tries to use his powers to slow the Flash, to make the hero feel fear. But Barry pushes through it, launching forward, beating the villain senseless. Psycho Pirate finally holds up his hands, his face bruised and bloody. "Please, stop! I'll do anything you want!" He stutters, and Barry looks at him, sweat dripping from his face. "Pirate, you're gonna love this one." Within the fortress, the Thunderers continue to work the slaves, when suddenly a blur appears and hate fills each of them one by one. They turn to the Anti-Monitor, feeling hate towards their master, and they launch their lightning at him, trying to bring him down. The Anti-Monitor begins to fight as his forces are moving against him. The Flash finally stops, holding Psycho Pirate up. "You're certain this is the antimatter cannon?" Pirate nods, and the Flash knocks him out, moving forward fast, phasing through the shell of the antimatter cannon. He stops, shocked to find that the cannon is powered by concentrated antimatter. "I can feel it, weakening me, draining my energy," he gasps, staggering, but the Flash can't be stopped. He knows that it is up to him to save the world, and he begins to run faster and faster, pushing past the weakened energy of the antimatter, and as he speeds up, the machine begins to break down around him. Energy is crackling, and it strikes out its own components. The cannon explodes, and still, the Flash runs faster. "Have to keep running, no matter how much it hurts." The Flash gasps. "I can feel the time stream all around me." He can feel the monitor beginning to open a temporal portal around him, but still, Barry pushes forward. When suddenly before him, he sees Wally West looking on in fear. "My God, I'm moving so fast, I'm going back in time," Barry thinks, with more images of the Flash before him. The Joker aiming a gun at him, and Batman trying to help him. "Help! Somebody! Anybody!" The Flash screams, and he runs faster and faster, his body beginning to fail around him, his skin shrinking away, and he begins to shrivel up. "There's always hope! Time to save the world! Do what you have to! We have to save it!" And with those last words, the Flash withers and he dies. But in his last moments, the cannon explodes into a shower of destruction. The Anti-Monitor stands among that destruction, anger coursing through his body as he is defeated once again. And finally, he raises his arms, and the energy flows around him. They will suffer for what they have done. They will suffer! My universe will provide the energy that I need. He bellows, with the antimatter universe beginning to die, worlds perishing in an instant. With their deaths, the Anti-Monitor grows more powerful, and with their deaths, I will be victorious. With the crisis momentarily averted, life returns to normal within the Earths that remain. The heroes fight villains across the realities, with the Legion of Doom trying to take over all Earths. Finally, though, a voice calls out ordering the conflict to end, and the shade of the Spectre drifts over the remaining Earths. You must cease this mindless battle, for while you fight, the end of all universes is at hand. Hear the word of the Spectre, he calls. The villains and heroes across the world hear the voice of the Spectre, and he tells them, the Anti-Monitor still lives, and even now it seeks the destruction of all life. He has fled from this era, retreated to the past before life evolved, before the Earth was formed. He has traveled to the very dawn of time itself. No longer will there be positive matter, only antimatter will prevail. All Earths, all universes, all life will be eliminated. The heroes and villains of the Earth cease their fighting, joining forces once again to stop the destruction of all of existence. They say their goodbyes to their loved ones, not knowing if they will ever see them again. The Spectre has a plan, to send the heroes to the dawn of time to stop the Anti-Monitor. When the villains arrive at the ancient Oa, there they will stop the creation of the multiverse in the Anti-Monitor himself. As they prepare to disembark, the heroes are suddenly interrupted as a new Superboy arrives. This is Superboy of Earth Prime, and the sole survivor of that destroyed world. Though some show hesitation, Superman of Earth 1 vouches to the boy, and with a nod, Spectre tells him, very well, let's begin. With the combined powers of the greatest superheroes across 5 Earths, the team heads into the time stream. They emerge into nothingness. Time, before thought, before creation. I have been waiting for your arrival. Indeed, I am disappointed that it has taken you this long to find me, the Anti-Monitor tells them, standing amongst the nothingness. He has massive, now raw power from the destruction of the antimatter universe. Pariah, who has been brought to this point of danger, is trapped, suspended over them. He warns his friends to go back, but it is too late. It is now that the Anti-Monitor tells Pariah the truth, that he didn't destroy his world. Fool! You merely opened the antimatter portal to the dawn of time. I took advantage of your experiment, destroying those worlds to gain even more strength. The Anti-Monitor laughs. Soon he will have enough energy to rebuild the antimatter universe in his own image. Don't believe it, Monitor. As far as I'm concerned, you're already dead. Superman shouts, and the heroes launch forward, hitting the Anti-Monitor with all of their power. They fly forward, lashing out against him with super strength and energy. Farther forward in time, though, the villains are launching their assault on Oa, trying to stop the experiment that would give birth to the crisis. At the dawn of time, the Anti-Monitor is flushed with power. You fools, I led you here to the dawn of time. I needed your life forces. I needed your energy. The heroes fall as he begins to siphon the energy out of them, absorbing it into himself. He waits for Krona to open the doors to the dawn of time, and then the course of history will change and the antimatter universe will reign supreme. He pauses briefly. I feel a force resisting me. Who dares? The massive image of the Spectre appears, staying the Anti-Monitor's hand. I dare, cruel one, he snarls, grasping the villain's hand, and I will stop you. While the Anti-Monitor has absorbed the strength of the heroes, the Spectre has absorbed the energy of the magical beings of Earth. The two begin to fight for supremacy as Krona moves to open the portal to allow the controlling energy through, and the Spectre screams as he fights against the Anti-Monitor. He sees universes that never existed pass before his eyes, and then all of creation shatters, leaving nothing but death behind. In his apartment, Kal-El of Earth 2 opens his eyes. Sitting up slowly, he shakes his head, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. What a horrible dream, he whispers, speaking into the empty room and thinking that Lois must have left for work early. I must have been really exhausted. I can't remember anything. He puts on his business suit and steps out into the city, heading for his job as the editor at the Daily Star. He reaches the building, climbing to the top floor where he sits at the desk in his big office. Great Caesar's ghost, who are you? Perry asks from the door of his office, and the entire newsroom seemingly at his back. He points to his name on the door, asking why the elderly Clark would be sitting at his desk, since he is the editor of the Daily Planet. This is Earth 1, Clark thinks, stunned to answer. There you are, Uncle Clark. Clark Kent of Earth 1 smiles, entering the office. He whispers to Pariah that Uncle Clark is the man that he was named after, and he might just be a little confused. Quickly, both Supermen head to the roof, where they try to figure out how Kal-El got to Earth 1. The two Supermen take off into the sky, flying towards the warp zone where the two Earths have begun to merge together. Along the way, Clark explains that the last thing that he remembers was also being at the dawn of time and then waking up back on Earth 1. But they find out that the warp zone isn't there and no one has any idea what they're talking about. With no choice, the two heroes head to Central City, hoping to use the Flash's spare cosmic treadmill. They're shocked to find a sign that welcomes them to the Twin Cities of Central and Keystone, combining the two cities of the Flash from both Earth 1 and Earth 2. Say, I recognize that place. Jay and Joan Garrick live there. Earth 2 Superman notes, descending on the small house in the suburbs. Though he has known her for most of his career, Joan Garrick doesn't recognize Earth 2 Superman at all. I was wondering who Joan was talking to, Jay Garrick notes, coming out of the house to greet his friends. Kal-El steps forward, asking if Jay actually recognizes him. Of course I do, Clark. I know both of you, Jay tells him. And the three men step inside where they find Wally West working on the cosmic treadmill. The four heroes decide to use the treadmill to reach Earth 2 to figure out what is going on. How are the worlds merged? As they begin to run, the combined speed of the heroes allows them to pierce through the wall that separates the multiverse, energy cracking as they reach the other side, only to discover a dark void. What happened? Where's our world? Jay cries, almost falling off the treadmill in shock. Great Scott! There's nothing out there! No Earth 2, no universe, nothing! Earth 2 Superman yells, staring into the void. Superman tells him that they need to go back, but Kal-El suddenly tries to step off into that void. No, I don't feel like I belong on Earth. I belong elsewhere. I belong out there in the void. Kal-El cries, floating free, but Superman snatches him by the cape, and the Flashes begin to run, pulling them all back to Earth 1. When they arrive back at Earth, the treadmill lays destroyed at their feet. I think we should call in everyone we know, Wally tells them. Later, the heroes have gathered at Titan's Tower, and the groups discuss, coming to the conclusion that there is only one Earth left now. A new Earth that combines parts of all of the ones that came before. Pariah goes on telling them. Some of the heroes from Earth 2, such as Huntress and Dick Grayson of Earth 2, note that they don't belong here. That no one remembers them, that their lives, they never existed here. When suddenly the room is filled with a new light as Harbinger arrives. I summoned you here because this new Earth is in peril. She begins to explain that those who stood at the dawn of time were saved when the new Earth was formed, with a single history. The heroes of the other worlds no longer belong in the history of this new Earth, and they stand out as paradoxes. Dismayed to find his world and his wife gone, Kal-El flies out of the building in anger. Superman giving chase, trying to calm the elderly version of himself. Everyone is shocked, and Garth turns to look at the sky outside of the windows. Please, not the funny weather again, he groans, and the skies begin to fill with the dark red clouds, once again spreading over the Earth almost instantly. Lightning and energy crackle down from the sky, striking the Earth. Help me! Pariah begins to scream as he once again begins to drift away from reality. I feel the tug of evil again! And he is gone. The Earth begins to shake beneath their feet, and it suddenly shifts into space, with both Supermen looking up into the black sky. Great Scott! The Earth shifted into another universe, Kal-El notes, before pointing up into the sky. The image of the Antimatter floats before them, and the Earth hears his icy voice. Welcome to my universe. Welcome to your doom! The dark sky is filled with the image of the Antimatter as he addresses the people of the one remaining Earth. Since my birth, 10 billion years ago, I have not known defeat. 1,000 universes before yours have perished without resistance. But you refuse to die. 1,000 meaningless victories because you resisted my efforts to destroy you. One universe protected by one small, terribly insignificant world. I offer you my congratulations. I acknowledge your persistence. Your will to live is astonishing, but your world must die. My warriors will stain your world with blood. They will be everywhere and cannot be stopped. Hear the death knell, humans. It is the last sound that you will ever hear. With those last words, the light from the Antimatter's image disappears and the world is plunged into darkness. The Supermen look around, shocked to find the people of the world screaming and running in fear. But before the two men can move, Harbinger appears before them, a light in the dark. She tells them, "It is the time to act, for the best of you to attack. Are you ready?" She takes their hands and the three disappear, and she travels quickly, gathering the heroes that she will need for the final assault against the Anti-Monitor. Elsewhere in the world, the darkness begins to shift, it begins to move, and it suddenly separates, becoming thousands of shadow warriors. The demons moving across the earth, attacking everyone that they find. And as the demons attack, the heroes of this new earth move to defend its people across the entire globe. With her heroes gathered, Harbinger stands ready, and she turns to Alexander Luthor, the last survivor of Earth 3. Using his powers of positive and antimatter, he opens a portal for the heroes, and the final battle has begun. The heroes emerge once more on the antimatter world of Qward. "We've made it this far. Now what?" Kal-El asks, and everyone agrees. But Wally turns, shocked to see an image of the Flash before them. He races forward, discovering Psycho Pirate trying to desperately pull the Flash's uniform from the rubble where he fell, where he died. The villain has gone insane. The Flash is no more. Wally takes his former mentor's ring to honor him once he realizes what happened here. But Pariah interrupts the morning, warning the heroes that he senses great evil just over the next rise. The heroes round the corner, walking straight into the massive form of the Anti-Monitor. "You fools! The moment you stepped on Qward, it was too late. It is the day the universe dies." The heroes launch their attack, with energy striking the Anti-Monitor, while the most powerful heroes lash out against him with mighty blows. Even the raw power of Superman doesn't seem to be enough, but they know that they are merely supposed to be distracting the cosmic villain. Because away from that battle, Harbinger, Dr. Light, and Alexander Luthor stand on a floating asteroid, watching it. Harbinger points to the star that the Anti-Monitor is absorbing for his power, and she tells Dr. Light that she needs to absorb the energy from the sun to drain the power from the Anti-Monitor. "I don't know if I can," Dr. Light stutters, but she sets herself and promises to try. The others leave as the light begins and the energy courses from the star into her. Meanwhile, at the battle, the Anti-Monitor looks up shocked. "What is happening? My power is being drained." He cries out as the heroes fly around him, and seeing him weakened, Alex lashes out with his own power, draining the Anti-Monitor's power directly from the villain. But Alexander Luthor knows that even this won't be enough to stop him. "I told you time and time again, I cannot be destroyed!" the Anti-Monitor screams. "You will die! Then your very universe will follow you into oblivion. I will tolerate no further defeat," he bellows. Seeing this battle, Pariah looks down at Negative Woman, asking if she is ready. "Do I have a choice?" she asks, and reaching out, she extends her radioactive essence to wrap around the Anti-Monitor. With this down, the heroes begin to pour on the attack. Radiation, heat vision, fire, energy blasts. They hit the Anti-Monitor with everything that they have, the blows causing the villain to stumble and fall, and Pariah shouts to Dr. Light, "Now!" he screams. Light nods, finally redirecting all of the energy that she has absorbed, hitting the monster with one final blow, and the Anti-Monitor's body explodes with light. His eternal organs burning through the armor and flesh, his body slamming into the ground, smashing through the rock as if it were water. He lays there in smoking ruins. "I was expecting more satisfaction," Superman notes, and Wonder Woman nods, pointing to where Alexander Luthor is summoning them. He tells them that with the power that he absorbed, he can open a portal to return the Earth and its heroes where they belong. "But my power is not infinite, and I can't keep the pathway open for long. You must hurry through," he warns them. He flies forward to the Earth, stretching the energy of his body to open up the portal, and the Earth begins to slide back through, back into its own universe. The heroes, gathering the wounded, they set forth, flying towards the opening, and behind them, no one notices the twinkle in the Anti-Monitor's eyes. Superman turns back, seeing the shadow demons moving towards the planet of Qward. "I don't like this," he whispers. And there's an explosion of light, and the Anti-Monitor rises again. "Fools! I have absorbed the power of the antimatter demons. Once again, I am indestructible," he bellows, rising from his new grave. "We have to stop him," Wonder Woman yells, and with a blast, the Anti-Monitor disintegrates her before Pariah's eyes. The heroes turn, Superman and Lady Qward preparing for the final battle, but suddenly Kal-El is there, knocking them both out. Sorry, this is the only way, he tells them, handing them to Superboy Prime. Take them back to Earth and stay there, Kal-El orders them. I know it needs to be done. Do what I say and no arguments. Superboy Prime nods, turning and flying the two heroes back through the portal, but Kal-El turns back to the Antimatter as the village is growing closer. You stayed behind, Kryptonian. Then you are the greatest fool that I have ever known. The Antimatter laughs at him. Ugly, you may be right, but someone had to stay behind to clean up the garbage. The Antimatter suddenly begins to writhe in pain, and Kal-El nods. The demons that he has absorbed were changed by the magicians of Earth, and now they are killing him from the inside out. He launches forward, pounding into the massive villain, the blow sending the monster reeling away. Meanwhile, Superboy Prime reaches the portal, but can't leave behind the great hero. He throws Superman and Lady Qward through the portal and turns back, with Alexander Luthor turning, no longer able to hold that portal open. Unknown to him, the being known as Darkseid is watching the battle through his eyes, using apocalyptic tech. Kal-El grabs the nearby moon, launching it at the Antimatter, smashing it into the monster. Superboy flies in to help, but the Antimatter blasts him with energy, dropping him out of the sky. So Kal-El grabs two asteroids, smashing him into the Antimatter to continue to weaken him. The blow launches the Antimatter through space, 2 million miles before he comes to a halt. And Kal-El follows, throwing another moon at him, and that blow finishes the Antimatter. You okay, pal? Kal-El asks, flying to Superboy Prime. The young man nods, but their rest is short-lived, as the Antimatter rises again. His body quakes with energy as he reaches out for the two heroes. I will kill you, even if I must die myself. He bellows. All seems lost, but Alexander turns his gaze upon the Antimatter, and Darkseid cannot allow the Antimatter to survive, for he one day will turn his sights on Apocalypse. He transfers his power through Alex, and the being launches an energy blast that tears the Antimatter apart. The Antimatter is already weakened, and the blast launches him into the center of the closest star. He screams in pain as he sinks deeper into its core, and then he is destroyed. Shortly afterwards, Kal-El, Superboy, and Alex stand upon an asteroid in the negative universe. What now, Alex? Any chance on reopening that portal? Kal-El asks, but Alexander informs him that he cannot. Personally, I don't mind being here, but I'm so sorry that you two are stuck with me, the elderly hero tells them. But suddenly they turn as the energy of the Antimatter launches itself out of the star, screaming across the cosmos. Superman! I will not die till I kill you! He screams, and the hero launches forward, gritting his teeth. I've had enough! Kal-El bellows, hitting the Antimatter with one last super punch. The blow dissipates the Antimatter's energy, sending it back into the stars. The energy causes a reaction, sending out a wave that will destroy everything that it touches. Well, then I guess we'll wait till the wave hits us. There's no way that we can fly far enough away in time, Kal-El tells them, sadness in his voice. I don't think I mind dying. Not now, Superboy Prime tells him. We fought the good fight. We succeeded. I only wish Lois were here, Kal-El sighs. Suddenly, Alexander Luthor begins to glow behind them. She is alive, Superman! Alex opens a small portal, and Superman is shocked to see his Lois stepping through. Alexander tells him that he knew how the universe would be reborn and did not want Superman to suffer. Lois hugs Clark, crying, telling him that she was in a beautiful place. Come to me, and we'll all go there, to the new universe. Alex beckons them. So Superman and Lois nod, taking each other's hands. Superboy Prime with them, and together, the group crosses into paradise. The portal closing as the wave of destruction hits the location that they just were. In the skies over Kahndaq, Black Adam is suddenly bathed in a purple light, and he vanishes. One by one, the other members of the Justice League all disappear from their posts, from their homes, from their cities. Over in Star City, Black Canary begins to disappear before Green Arrow's eyes, but he reaches out, grabbing her. Hold on, pretty bird, he shouts. And they all appear in a dark room, Dinah shocked by Oliver's actions. Come on, after everything we've been through, where you go, I go, he tells her. Black Adam steps out of the shadows. You two, the couple, where are we? He demands, and Oliver looks at him with a cocked eye. You know our names, right? The room is then bathed in a light as the door is opened. Black Canary steps forward, discovering the rest of the Justice League in a vast chamber outside, everyone confused. But President Superman steps forward with Dr. Multiverse. Superman, I've called the Justice League to the Hall of Heroes because the multiverse is in grave danger. I thought the Justice League Incarnate would be enough, but we failed. I'm sorry I took you all out of your lives. Superman flies forward and Calvin Ellis tries to quickly explain. He tells them how Barry Allen is trapped in another reality. And Darkseid, the real Darkseid, is enslaved by a great darkness, an ancient evil that has been awakened. It has created an army of unbelievable destructive forces. In all of my travels, I've never known fear like this, he tells them, and he points out the cracked windows in the Hall of Heroes, telling them that the great darkness is trying to take control of the bleed, which is the space between realities in the DC universe. If we don't do something now, nothingness will overtake everything, Calvin explains, when suddenly the House of Heroes is rocked as the great darkness lashes out. It's breached the Hall of Heroes! We're out of time! Calvin shouts, and the rest of the heroes stand beside President Superman. Our Superman tells him to take the lead, and Dr. Multiverse begins to glow, letting them know that she can teleport them all away. Hold on, she shouts as they all disappear at a flash of light. They arrive within a destroyed city, shattered planets visible in the skies far above them. My gods, what is this place? Aquaman asks, and Dr. Multiverse steps forward. Ruins of a dead multiverse. The heroes are surprised, believing the dead multiverse was gone. That at the end of the death metal crisis, this was all eradicated. A voice calls out to them, making the heroes turn. It was swallowed by the darkness. I saw it happen, forced to watch over and over again. Punishment for my sin, Pariah calls to them. My antimatter chamber started the great crisis, and now I will use it to correct my mistakes. The heroes are all surprised, remembering that Pariah's world was the first to fall to the Antimatter, that he was then cursed to go from one destroyed world to another, which is why I'm here now. Pariah says as he turns it back to his machine, Superman trying to reason with him, to explain that the darkness is still using him. But anger flashes across Pariah's face as the darkness raises up around him, taking shape. Lies! For the multiverse to be reborn! Your world must die! He shouts, the darkness taking the shape of the greatest villains throughout the multiverse. And Pariah smiles as he urges his dark army forward. The heroes gather, rushing forward to meet them in battle. Justice League! You know what we have to do. Superman shouts, but Batman moves forward, throwing his batarangs to take down the enemies. Black Canary, let them deal with the army. We can't let Pariah turn on that machine. The last time he did, he destroyed his whole world. Batman shouts to Dinah. The two Supermen meet the darkness with heat vision, while the rest of the heroes team up to take down their most challenging foes. There's something wrong with them, Aquaman shouts as he and Aquawoman are fighting against Doomsday. You're right, Aquaman. They're not themselves. Darkseid is not a brute fighter. Superman shouts as Calvin takes another punch to the face from the rage-filled Darkseid. Wonder Woman points out that they're not fighting their enemies, but merely shadows of them. Darkseid bellows, throwing one Superman into another. The great darkness will bring an end to everything, Superman. Once we are free, the darkness will wield these creatures full power. He growls, but the magical lightning cracks at the despot. New god! Face the power of the old gods! Black Adam roars, the lightning striking Darkseid again, throwing him away. But the monster is only stunned for a moment before he blasts Black Adam in the chest with his Omega beams. Jon Stewart tries to move in, the Godstorm radiating around him, his massive constructs knocking the Shadow Army aside. But Pariah only laughs at the former Lantern's power, pointing out, my army is stronger than anyone realizes. A voice calls out and the heroes all look up in fear. Once I was the spirit of vengeance, but I have now been shown the truth. I am now the spirit of darkness. The Spectre shouts as he looms over everyone. Pariah continues to work on his machine, but Batman swoops in, his batarangs prepared. But the Shadow Army rises up to stop him, and Wonder Woman is forced to grab him out of danger. Watch and learn, Bats. Cover me, Canary, Oliver shouts, rushing in with his bow. Ollie, what are you doing? Dinah shouts, using her canary cry to stun Doomsday. The arrow flies through the battle, zipping past friend and foe alike until it lands into Pariah's machine, exploding. Pariah screams in rage as his machine explodes, his shadow army retreating. Aren't you all glad I came? Now let's shut this down and go home. I'll make the chili, Ollie says with a smile. Doomsday roars as he lashes out, his blow slamming Oliver into the ground hard enough to crack pavement. Ollie! Dinah shouts, her cry going out, destroying the shadowy Doomsday. She rushes to Oliver's side, cradling his broken body. Why did you follow me? She asks. Oliver coughs, the light dimming in his eyes. I'll always follow you, pretty bird. He gasps. Meanwhile, Pariah reaches for his machine. I can still fix this. This isn't over, he says, and Batman responds. Yes, it is, swooping in with Superman and Wonder Woman. But Dr. Multiverse lands between them, warning the Trinity that Pariah is stronger than they know. Pariah's hands begin to glow. You have only delayed the inevitable. I had hoped all of your talk of heroic sacrifice for the greater good was more than just words, but instead, you will be mourned. He says, bright light shooting out of his hand, and in the blink of an eye, our heroes are gone. Their skin seared off of their bones before they all disappear into nothingness. I wanted to bring peace to the multiverse! Pariah shouts, turning his power on the rest of the heroes, the lightning cracking behind him. You will die for your sins, murderer! Black Adam shouts, punching the Pariah in the face. Pulling back and landing another blow, the villain doesn't even flinch, merely catching the third blow from the mighty Black Adam. I have survived the deaths of infinite Earths. You think a punch from a false god could hurt me? He asks as he throws Black Adam to the ground, light continuing around them, wiping the heroes out of existence. Pariah rushes forward, grabbing a hold of Black Adam, bathing him in his power, but as Black Adam feels himself dying, he utters a single magical word with all the strength that he can muster, everything that he has. Shazam! He shouts, bellowing, lightning cracking in the distance, striking the two of them, throwing them apart. Pariah falls to the ground, and Black Adam merely sinks into the darkness. And back on Earth Zero, at the start of all of this, the kids play outside of the Hall of Justice, while the rest of the younger heroes are trying to figure out what happened to the Justice League. Where did they even go? Jon Kent arrives, demanding to know where is his father. And suddenly, the building shakes as if a bomb went off. Wally, John, and Naomi rush through the hall to the meeting room, and they sift through the rubble that was once the roof. They all look at Black Adam in surprise. They're dead. The Justice League are dead. Sometime since the death of the League had passed, Nightwing leaps over a car, avoiding another blow from Brick, questioning why he's even in Gotham. No Justice League means no Batman. Gotham's prime real estate again, the villain shouts, but Jon Kent comes flying in out of the air, grabbing Brick by the head, slamming him onto the ground. Nightwing pauses for a moment. Okay, 3 things. What are you doing in Gotham? Where were you 15 minutes ago? And I totally had him, Nightwing says, but Jon is shocked, asking how Dick could be making jokes at a time like this. You heard Black Adam. The Justice League is dead. Why are you not freaking out? What if they're really gone? Nightwing looks at him and matter-of-factly pointing out that Superman has already died once. He then turns and walks away, motioning for Jon to follow. The Gotham PD are taking care of Brick, but I think I know what you need, he says, and they head over to a food truck where Dick tells Jon the story about his own father's funeral, about how Batman had a matter-of-fact attitude about Superman's death. That maybe he thought that if he acted worried, the other heroes would too. Dick did something similar after Batman's last death, putting on a new bat suit and continuing on. So you just don't get worried about them dying at all now? Dick shakes his head, pointing out that they react. Jon takes a sip of his drink, telling him that Young Justice is already planning statues and they have a memorial planned. You're all overreacting, The Justice League is coming back, Dick tells him, and Jon looks at him for a moment. What if they don't this time? People don't always come back. Dick frowns, and images of Alfred begin to flash through his mind. The both of them continue to eat their lunch until they are interrupted by a loud explosion nearby. And as they both stand up, Dick thanks Jon for coming by, apologizing for acting like Batman in the situation. I don't want you to be worried, so I try to hide my own worries, he says, and they both quickly change into their superhero costumes, rushing forward to continue in their father's footsteps. Over in Central City, Wally is sitting with Iris, asking how long since she heard from Barry. She looks down, explaining that it's been almost 2 months. That she had kind of gotten used to him disappearing and hadn't thought anything of it until she heard about the League. Avery was with the Justice League Incarnate. What if? Wallace asks, and Wally takes Iris's hand, telling her that they will find Barry and they will bring him home. He leaves Linda with her and motions for Wallace to follow. Grab your suit, Ace. We got work to do. In mere moments, the two Flashes are racing down the streets, with Wally explaining that the last time that Barry died, all of the villains came out in force, thinking that they had a free pass for crime. If the League is really gone, then we're about to get a tidal wave of poorly named bad guys, Wally explains. What do you want us to do about it? Wallace asks, and Wally turns to him and smiles. We're gonna play a little whack-a-mole. Their first stop is the middle of the city, pulling people out of harm's way as Giganta is rampaging. The two of them leap into the air, punching her hard, dropping her to the ground, wrapping her up in her own chains. You come out of hiding again, Giganta, and I'm gonna give you more than an earful, Wally tells her before they dash away. Wallace groans at the jokes, but he looks at Wally and sees him smiling. He knows that Wally West is putting on a brave face to take his mind off of Barry Allen and the League being dead. They grab some of the trench in Happy Harbor, a monster on Midway City, Malcolm Merlin in Park City, and Wally keeps smiling. He keeps distracting himself. After a while, they make a bet to see who can nab the most villains. I get the Northern Hemisphere, you get the South. Fewest villains captured by 8 buys dinner in Chicago, he says, and Wallace nods, speeding off. There he goes. No longer scared, but it doesn't mean that it hurts less, Wally says to himself. He stops at the Flash Museum, looking at the statue of Barry. The moment is interrupted by his phone. Jon talking fast, telling him about Cobra attacking Washington. You can count on me, Wally says as he pulls back on his mask, dashing away, the brave face continuing. Meanwhile, over in Sector 2814, Hal Jordan continues to follow the strange creature as he flies through the void of space. This is Green Lantern of Sector 2814. I need backup immediately. I'm in pursuit of a dangerous interplanetary creature, he shouts over the comms. But none of the League is responding because they've died. And the monsters break through the Earth's atmosphere, falling towards the ocean. I need backup. The Viro cannot reach the Earth's oceans. Aquaman, he says again, but the monster shouts as it collides with the water. Hal Jordan tries to follow, but the alien is much faster underwater and begins to morph, its body breaking down into smaller versions of itself. The people of Atlantis look up in shock and fear as they see the strange creatures rushing towards them, but Jackson Hyde suddenly comes rushing past them, swimming up at the aliens at top speed. I wish Arthur was here also. Feels strange not fighting by his side, he says to himself, and he swims amongst the creatures, hitting them with a powerful blast of energy. Whatever you are, you will not get past me, he shouts, but his anger turns to pain as the monsters grab him and they all begin to bite into him. I didn't become Aquaman just to become chump, he shouts, knocking them away, but the green light suddenly fills the area and harpoon constructs stab into the creatures. You kept them occupied, kid. Good job. The name's Hal Jordan, Hal says with a smile, and he tells him he doesn't know what the aliens are, and they're gonna need Arthur Curry. You don't know? He's dead. He and all of the League are dead, Jackson tells Hal, bringing a look of shock to Hal Jordan's face. Hal quickly gains his composure. We've got to stop these things. Jackson nods, ordering Hal to drop his shield. I hope you know what you're doing, Hal tells him, and Jackson shakes his head as he begins to control the water around them. Dude, we're dealing with an alien of unknown origin. They can survive in space and sea. Of course I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing, he tells Hal, and the two of them create a massive centrifuge of force. That centrifuge somehow separates the newer aliens from its original form. And in a moment, the parasites that evolved within Earth's ocean disappear, and the original alien floats before them. Jackson is surprised as the alien moves forward, pressing his forehead against Jackson as a show of thanks. They begin to float towards the surface, and Jackson tells Hal that Atlantis will need him with Arthur gone. It's all right, you take all the time you need. I'm gonna find out what happened to the League. But as he's beginning to leave, he turns back, informing Jackson that him and the other young heroes are going to have to step up. The world is going to need all of you right now. I'll be ready, Jackson calls to him. Somewhere else, Pariah, the man who killed the League, walks through the cold winter, moving through a snowy park. But that's when a light flashes and he is now on another Earth in the same park. A young woman tries to help him, asking if he is confused, if he needs help finding something, but the image shifts again, and his young wife is standing before him, asking him to build his machine. But he moves away from her, pointing out that she doesn't exist. But she is everywhere that he looks, explaining to him that she did exist, that he failed her. The world shifts again, and Pariah finds himself back on his home world. And again it shifts, and he is in the park, children playing nearby. There is no universe where Pariah's family still lives. He whispers quietly to himself, but his wife looks up from where the children play. But why couldn't we? Build your machine again, bring us back. You have such power, you can do anything, she tells him, and he walks towards her, putting his hand on her face, telling her that even though this multiverse might be a false one, it will not burn down creation a second time. For a moment, she disappears and he continues onward, but he looks up to see her standing there with their two children. Your work doomed us! And now you say your work cannot save us, she shouts, her anger knocking him to the ground. She reaches down, taking his face into her hands. I will not accept this fate, she shouts, black tears falling from her eyes, dripping onto his face. Build the machine, Pariah! Put things right! She hisses, and he waves her away, getting up, rushing through the park, her voice still echoing through his mind as he rushes to a nearby church. If you would rather die than give your family life, then die! She shouts at him, and he nods, pulling himself up to the church, reaching its rooftops. This is how one saves the world, not with good deeds, but by standing aside and leaving the world alone. With that, the world shifts again, and below him, everything is destroyed. Where am I? This isn't my mind. This is real, he says with a surprise, and a voice of darkness fills his mind again. Yes, Pariah. Now do you see the multiverse is in danger, and this time, only you can save it. Pariah finally nods, darkness filling his eyes, leaking down his cheeks. I'll build the machine. This time I will save the world. My great darkness, he whispers. Meanwhile, we cut back to Gotham City. Nocturne has entered the museum, scaring away the guards as she stalks forward, memories of fighting Batman long ago echoing throughout her mind. She finally finds what she's looking for. An ancient Egyptian necklace that used to worship the night sky. But as she reaches out for it, she looks around, realizing that Batman isn't coming to stop her. Can't do it, can you? A voice calls as Batgirl drops to the floor. Is it because you need a challenge, Natalia? Or is there something you're not telling me about your feelings for Batman? She asks, and Nocturne lashes out at her, asking what it's like to not be good enough to die with the other heroes. You're a backup at best, she snaps, but Batgirl whirls around, kicking her in the face. Looks like I'm more than enough to ruin your night, Stephanie tells her, Nocturne whirling back around, kicking one of her eskrima sticks away. But Stephanie moves with it, whirling, bringing down the other, and the two stop for a moment. New move, Stephanie? Who taught you that? Nocturna asks, and Batgirl glares at her. He did. She snaps. Their fight is over. Nocturna reaches for the Batgirl's fallen weapon, asking what happened. You know what happened. He's gone and it's different, Batgirl tells her, sighing, stating that Gotham now feels like a black hole, that the night has become even darker. You shouldn't fear the night, even when it's particularly empty, Nocturna tells her. And the conversation is interrupted by Stephanie's comms. That was Oracle. I need to deal with it. Don't steal anything, Batgirl tells her as she turns to go. Enjoy the night, Stephanie, Nocturna tells her. The villain turns to leave but finds Firefly waiting for her on the rooftops. I have an offer. The secret society has a place for you. Your skills, your talents would be appreciated. She looks at him, asking why he thinks that she would join them. But he motions off to the side of the roof, pointing to the gathering of villains. We have a plan, Nocturna, and it's so much bigger than Gotham City. We now cut to Dark Crisis, Issue 1. Outside of the Hall of Justice, a gathering of heroes and civilians are standing in a candlelight vigil for our fallen heroes. Nightwing standing before them, giving a speech of what the Justice League meant to the people of Earth. As long as we continue to fight and keep these candles burning, the Justice League's legacy will live on. He finishes, unaware that Deathstroke and his comrades are watching from a nearby rooftop. When the last of the words are uttered, Slade blows out his candle. Weeks later, Jon and Wally fight against Cobra in Washington. Which cult is this again? Jon asks as he knocks another soldier away. Cobra! One of the cultists shouts. Yeah, what he said, Wally calls out, moving fast, pulling people out of harm's way. These attacks are happening all the time now. With the Justice League gone, everyone thinks that it's their time to take a shot, Jon shouts to him, but Wally thinks that this is different. That all of the smaller groups are freaking out while the heavy hitters are keeping quiet. The Cobra army rolls forward in their tanks, proclaiming that the world is lost in darkness. But a massive green boot slams down, knocking them away. And Wally and Jon look up to see Hal Jordan floating towards them. I take my first vacation in years and you let Cobra attack? Hal asks. Perfect timing, Uncle Hal, Wally says with a smile, but Hal isn't smiling. Jon, Wally, what the hell is going on? Where is the Justice League? So, later, the three of them gather around Black Adam's hospital bed within the Hall of Justice as he recounts once again what happened to the League. The last thing that I remember was seeing the Justice League being ripped apart by Pariah's powers. Never have I seen heroes turn to ash like that, transformed into nothingness, he says, looking half asleep, telling them that the darkness was halted, but the League died. Hal looks at him for a moment. That's the guy you trust, Wally? He asks, turning and stalking out of the room, and Jon and Wally follow him, explaining that Black Adam has been working with the League, that Superman vouched for him. We checked his story as best as we could, but then the attacks started happening and it didn't matter if we believed it or not, Wally tells him, but Hal shakes his head, explaining that they need to find out what happened to the Darkness and the Justice League. Find Barry. I'll look for the perp, he tells them. And Jon doesn't know what to do, but Wally explains that he needs to find his way to shine. Both Hal and Wally leave, and Jon is alone now, flying up to float in front of the statue of his father. He looks at the statues of Batman and Wonder Woman, and a smile crosses his face. Over in Brazil, Yara Flor is fighting against a fire demon that is burning the rainforest around her. The end is coming, Wonder Girl, and you will be one with the dark! It shouts, but Jon is there flying out of the sky, punching the monster with Yara. He quickly moves around using his super breath to put out the fires, and afterwards he introduces himself to Yara Flor. I'm sorry about your father, she says as she shakes her head. I've seen how much you've been doing to fill his shoes. What brings you to me? She asks, and Jon is a little sheepish, finally telling her that the world needs a new Justice League. I'm putting together a team, he says with a broad smile. She looks at him for a moment before she breaks out laughing. No. What is happening across the world is also happening here. I can't ignore that. My responsibilities are to my tribe in the rainforest, she explains, turning and jumping on Jerry the Pegasus's back. I can't be your Wonder Woman. I'm just me. There's no way I could join a team of superheroes, she says, wishing him luck as she flies away. Jon's next stop is New York City, where the new Batman is chasing down a truck of gunrunners. But Jon is suddenly there, stopping the truck in its tracks, and Batman screeches to stop as Jon pulls the gunrunners free. Hey, look at us, the new world's finest, Jon says with a smile as he floats down to the new Batman. The Trigger twins were leading me to the arms supplier. You messed that up, Jace growls at him, and Jon apologizes, quickly explaining the situation. Superman needs Batman, he says with a hopeful smile, but Jace shakes his head. Not this one. Go ask one of the Robins, he says as he speeds away. But Jon once again won't be detoured. He moves through the world, gathering as many heroes as he can for his new team, until finally he returns to the Hall of Justice, where he discovers Black Adam talking to himself as he watches a group of people gathering outside. Black Adam, who are you talking to? Jon asks as he comes up behind the god, and Black Adam whirls around. Never use that super hearing on me, boy. Jon apologizes but points out that Adam should be resting. People of Kahndaq need me, he says as he moves to leave, but Jon stops him. Wait, I know I've only been Superman for a brief time, but I'm learning. From Nightwing, from Hal, from Wally, and now you. I know what the world needs. We need the new Justice League. Black Adam turns to go. There is no Justice League. The world needs capable protectors, not children, he says, and he floats into the air, flying out the door. You're trying to run before you can walk, son of Kal-El. You are not ready for this role, and you and I both know who should lead a new Justice League. Meanwhile, over at Titans Academy, Nightwing watches as the students begin their work on the trapeze. Today's lesson is about trust. There's no net, he explains as they begin to flip and hang from the wires. Below them, the others are watching, with Cyborg pointing out that he's turning them into a circus. Stop, Victor, you know this is Richard's favorite class, Starfire says, but Chupacabra comes around the corner dripping blood, and Nightwing is there in a moment, asking the young hero who did this. He looks down in shock as he sees a bomb strapped to the kid's chest. That explosion, it wasn't stopped. It ripped through Titan's tower, with the core Titans right there and the new students right there. And the villains from afar begin their assault outside. And Deathstroke, the same Deathstroke who was supposed to be dead, gathers with his top officers. Leave the teachers to me. I'm going to hurt them like never before. Kill Legacy once and for all. A couple of villains bring a wounded Beast Boy over. Hey boss, look who I found spying on us, they say, and Deathstroke pulls out his pistol as Garth is pushed to his knees. What the hell, Slade? You destroy Titan's tower all you want. You know we'll just rebuild it again. Beast Boy snaps and Deathstroke nods, putting that gun to Garth's head. We're not gonna destroy Titan's tower, Garfield. We're gonna let it stand as a bloody warning to anyone who tries to pick up the torch and put on a costume. With that, Deathstroke pulls the trigger. Meanwhile, over in the darkness of Multiverse 2, Pariah begins to rebuild his machine, talking to himself. The Justice League wasn't enough. We need more heroes from Earth Zero. Once the skies turn red, we will be brought to Earth Zero, and I will use the deaths of the Justice League to destroy the multiverse, he shouts, and energy crackles around him, energy powered by the deaths of the Justice League. The students of Titan Academy try to help Nightwing to his feet after Deathstroke's assault on the tower left most of the big-name heroes knocked out. But while still shaking out some of the dizziness from his head, Nightwing is forced to get back up when a group of Secret Society members storm in, grabbing the children. Nightwing charges after them, but as he finds himself completely surrounded by Deathstroke and his society, Deathstroke asks him, "Where were you rushing off to? You gonna save the day? And is this supposed to be the next generation? Disappointing. One sneak attack and you're crumbled. And if you think this is the only attack that we planned, you're going to be sorely mistaken. Need to make sure that no one steps up to try and fill the Justice League's shoes." Nightwing shouts that the Titans have stomped him before and they'll do it again. Deathstroke waves his hand forward. "Tell that to Beast Boy." Beast Boy's body is tossed in front of him, and Deathstroke asks, "I always wondered what would happen if you shot a shapeshifter in the face. He'll live, but that one, it's going to leave a scar." Nightwing screams as he runs forward, but he's knocked down and he demands to know, what does Deathstroke want? If he wanted him dead, they could have done it by now. "We're here to prove a point. Sure, we could kill everyone here and no one would care. But you, the prodigal son, the chosen one, they'd care. So let's do it one last time." Deathstroke tosses Nightwing his batons and tells everyone to watch. Nightwing grabs his weapons, rushing in, and both he and Deathstroke begin to exchange powerful blows that would stop any normal man. But through the bloody fight, Nightwing manages one clean hit that sends Deathstroke to the ground, and he begins to laugh. He wipes the blood off of his mouth. That was good. Nightwing won the first round. Who should we pick for round 2? Who would you pick to go around with old Deathstroke? Suddenly, it hits him, and Nightwing tells him, "If you kill me, you'll let everyone go." And Deathstroke laughs. "You were always my trophy. Why would I waste my time on anyone else?" as a clang at the batons hitting the ground, and Nightwing holds out his arms. "Just get it over with, you old creep!" Nightwing points the firing end of his staff at Nightwing. "Look who just became my favorite Robin." And he fires. But there's a ping as the bullet bounces off of Jon Kent's chest as he flashes in view between Deathstroke and Nightwing. Nightwing puts up his fist, telling him, "You have your dad's timing." Deathstroke asks, "Did you think that I wasn't prepared for the Super Sun?" Suddenly, someone crashes through the roof and Deathstroke introduces Cyborg Superman. You see, he's seen the truth too. He knows what's best for us all. Get him! Without saying a word, Cyborg Superman rockets forward, grabbing Jon by the throat, bringing the two of them outside of the tower. Cyborg Superman flexes, pulling his arm back. "You should learn to respect your elders." And Jon throws him off. "You are not my father!" As the two of them fight back and forth, back inside, Deathstroke tells Nightwing that he doesn't understand. "This is much bigger than the two of us. We've lost so much misery. Together, we can put a stop to." Just then, a voice rings out in Deathstroke's head, telling him that the darkness calls for him. "Do not kill the superheroes. I need them. Remember the mission. Sow chaos. Create a crisis. Bring my dark army to you." Deathstroke smacks the side of his head to try and drown out the voice. "Shut up!" And he tells Nightwing, "You're lucky. New orders just came in." As the portals begin to open back up, the Secret Society walks away. And Deathstroke turns to Nightwing. "This is just the beginning. It gets a lot harder from here. Spread the word. Legacy is dead. It's open season on you superheroes. Consider it a mercy killing because any survivors will be turned over to the darkness." But there's two individuals still fighting that we kind of forgot about. Back outside, Jon and Cyborg Superman continue to punch into each other. Cyborg Superman grabbing him. "Your father was willing to die to save lives. Are you?" Jon breaks free of the hold, launching him and Cyborg Superman down through the tower. "But we're about to find out." Cyborg Superman struggles to crawl over to Jon. "This isn't over." But Cyborg shows up, crushing Cyborg Superman's head. "It is over. I'm sick of you giving cyborgs a bad name." With that, Nightwing helps Jon up, and Jon says that he's sorry about the school being destroyed. But Cyborg says that this isn't the first time Titan's tower was destroyed. Nightwing tells Jon that his dad would be proud of him. Jon looks over at the destruction, asking, "Woody, I don't know what I saved." When suddenly a voice tells him, "I was right. You are not ready to lead the Justice League, son of Kal-El. But I was wrong about you, Nightwing. Deathstroke may have led this attack, but the blame for this tragedy falls at your feet." Black Adam floats down. "Where were you, huh? If you're so great, why don't you lead the new Justice League, or go after Deathstroke?" "That is exactly my intent. Deathstroke's forces laid siege to my home as well. These attacks are happening worldwide. I have no choice but to agree with you. It is my burden to lead the Justice League. I will turn them into the protectors that they should have always been, the kind of force that this world needs." Meanwhile, up in space in a slave trader ship, a ringless Kyle Rayner breaks free of his cell, blasting his way to the hangar to try and escape. But as he sees more people flying towards him, he takes a shot, but at that moment, Jo Mullein deflects the blast and she asks, "Hal, do all of your friends try shooting you first when they see you?" Hal flies down hugging Kyle, and Kyle returns to the hold. "Hal, dude! Oh, and hi, who are you?" Hal introduces Jo, and Kyle says, "Right, I heard about her. Best detective the Corps has, right?" Hal then says that they have other things to discuss while they finish this escape. And good news, Guy was already looking. The bad news is that the Justice League are dead. But Hal says that Pariah created a dark army composed of their greatest enemies, and the Justice League stopped them from invading. Black Adam was the only survivor, and he claims the Justice League died. Wally West and the rest of the Speedsters are trying to find Barry Allen, hoping Barry will be the key to resolving this mess. Kyle says that he appreciates the save, but they're going to need more than just the three of them. Hal laughs. "I know." So he opens up his hand, giving Kyle Rayner another ring. "That's why I brought you back. You ready to report to duty?" Deathstroke's attack on Titan's Tower has left what heroes were able to fight broken with yet another defeat, and those with hope feeling guilty that they did not do enough. But those still fighting, those wanting to try and make a difference, have all been taken under Black Adam's wing. The sole survivor when the Justice League was attacked. He drills into their heads that the Dark Army out there managed to kill the Justice League, and that they could be next at any second. They must prepare themselves to do whatever it takes to defeat this enemy, and that starts by killing Count Vertigo. Many of the younger heroes think that killing him would be extreme. They're supposed to bring hope to the world, not more death. However, Damian tells them that that's the problem. The reason Deathstroke is winning all of his fights is because he knows that we won't kill him. Black Adam then says, "We must put Vertigo's dead body in front of the Hall of Justice as a warning to Deathstroke and his ilk." But Jon Kent's eyes flare red as he tells them that they are not doing anything of the sort. Black Adam shouts at him, "The Justice League is dead. You didn't see what I saw. I'm the only one left standing after Pariah's army attacked. This is what must be done." The argument begins to heat up, with Black Adam's grip on Vertigo's head tightening, and Yara Flor using her lasso to pull him off. Black Adam asks, "Are you challenging me?" She folds her arms, telling him that she doesn't even know him, but she doesn't like him. Black Adam tenses up and then turns, leaving. "You are all a waste of my time." Now with no one leading them, everyone begins to wonder what is next. But Yara tells Jon that she wants to help. She wants to join his Justice League. Damian scoffs. "There is no Justice League. Black Adam is right. Pennyworth used to tell me things like, 'It's always darkest before the dawn.' Well, I have a feeling that we have not yet reached the darkness, and when we do, we're not going to be ready." "How can you be so," Jon asks him, but Damian stops him. "Realistic? No, we need hope. That's what the Justice League does, Damian. It gives hope." Damian shouts at him, "Maybe that's why they died." With that, the three of them stand on the steps of the Hall of Justice in silence, trying to hold back their emotions. And then a voice tells them that he is sorry for interrupting. But if there's no Justice League, how about a society? They'd love to help, if they don't mind some old-timers lending a hand. The members of the Justice Society fly down, Wildcat telling them, "Watch who you call old." And meanwhile, over at Deathstroke's headquarters, Pariah whispers into his head, telling him, "You have a mission. You must create a crisis." Deathstroke stares at his computer, telling him, "Get out of my damn head!" But at that moment, his doors open up as the members of the Secret Society throw someone in. Look what we found. The person that's thrown in is Ravager. She slowly gets up, having been beaten by the others, looking at her father. "I thought you were already dead." Deathstroke tells her that Adeline, Wintergreen, and Joseph have gone into hiding. But Ravager snaps. "I wouldn't even tell you if I knew where they were hiding. You're broken. But all of this is a new low even for you. Everything that I've seen, that we've seen, superheroes, supervillains, it's all a mistake, Ravager. The Justice League died, and it was a matter of time before one of the little punks tried to pick up the torch. But I will be there to cut them down when they do. But you, I want you here, with me. You will be my legacy. I'm going to be a part of something bigger. The darkness, it speaks to me." As Deathstroke inches closer, Ravager kicks him away, asking, "What the hell is wrong with you? Stay away from me!" After hearing the crash of being kicked back, the Secret Society rushes in, asking if everything is okay. And Deathstroke tells them, "Perfect timing." He stands up, opening his mouth as black liquid is vomited out. "I think I might know how to start a crisis." However, the black liquid doesn't fall to the floor. It begins to lash out at everyone, infecting them as they all scream for it to stop. And Ravager is made to sit there and watch. Meanwhile, out in space, the Green Lanterns have all gathered in Sector 666 on the lead that Black Adam mentioned that Nekron was a part of Pariah's Dark Army. Those suspicions were right as they find a fully restored Black Lantern power battery waiting for them. Unsure what might be inside, Hal informs them that he'll go in, and Kyle and Joe tell him that he knows that they're going with him, right? Knowing that he can't win the argument, he tells Simon and Guy to watch the battery, and if they're not back in 24 hours, they are to destroy it. Guy tells him, "You got it." And once they're ready, the three of them reach out to the Black Lantern battery and are suddenly sucked into a dark and twisted world. As they all hit the ground, Pariah says, "I'd hoped that you'd come. The fearless like me. The great Hal Jordan would understand." Kyle begins to shout at Pariah, "Where is the Justice League?" "Gone. The heroes of Earth Zero are special. Each of them is a world unto themselves. I can use that to rebuild the multiverse. Soon a new crisis will pull me and my dark army to your world, where I can use the rest of the heroes there to restore what was lost. The Great Darkness would rather this all go away and return to nothing, but I can keep its power under my control." Hal asks him, "Are you sure it's not controlling you?" Pariah screams, "You dare suggest that I cannot master the darkness!" Hal attacks with his Justice League constructs. "Damn right I do! I've only known 2 people to wear that armor, and I wouldn't call them friends." Pariah is forced to defend himself from the attack, telling them that their world is broken, and from this darkness, there will be a better multiverse. Hal then tells the others to keep the pressure up and go past Pariah to his terminal to find several floating orbs, all with the symbols of each of the fallen Justice League members. He picks up one, feeling its power, and Pariah screams to not touch his worlds. Hal takes a closer look and says that these aren't worlds. The Great Darkness, it's not using the Justice League to restore the multiverse, it's turning them into weapons. Suddenly, Hal feels the power ripping through his body, breaking him down until there's nothing left. And as everything turns white, he blinks around asking, "What is this? Where is my ring?" At that moment, a giant green construct sword slams down next to him, and an unknown Green Lantern tells him, "That was a warning shot." Another lantern flies down telling him, "You're not welcome in this world. This is Sector John Stewart." And Hal is shocked. "Wait, Sector what?" But back on Earth, Black Adam touches down knowing that the young heroes are not capable of being able to do what needs to be done, which is why he will lead seeking the aid of a very particular person. He tells the figure that he thought that he could push the younger heroes, but they are too concerned with hope, and that is why he believes it is time for doom. The man steps forward. "Right. Sounds like a job for Lex Luthor." As the city of Emerald shines bright around him, Hal Jordan finds himself in chains as the Kyle Rayner of this world accuses him of being one of the Lantern's greatest foes, Parallax. Hal sighs, asking if he really had to bring up that. He can already tell this whole world is nothing more than a giant construct. After attacking Hal, one of the Lanterns holds out a gun, telling Hal that he is very brave to face the darkness without his ring, when suddenly another voice says that Hal might be brave and bold. Just then, the familiar sound of a crack of lightning and red blur rocket past, stunning the Lanterns, as Barry skids to a stop, telling Hal, "You know, that jacket of yours really makes you stick out like a sore thumb in any world." Hal asks if it's really him. He thought that, but Barry tells him that Wally found him. "Ha! I knew that kid had it in him. But, did you know that this world is fake?" And Barry tells him, yeah, he knows. He knows about Pariah, but he doesn't know why Pariah needed to make these construct worlds for everyone. Whatever it is, he's using the Justice League to power something explosive. There's someone that could possibly help them investigate Pariah's plans, but that would mean traveling to their world. But while Hal and Barry begin their journey back on Earth, the current heroes are doing what they can to fill the shoes of their predecessors, and for some, their fathers. However, one member of the Bat family hasn't moved and hardly eaten, and he refuses to leave the best side of his best friend. Nightwing sits alone next to Beast Boy's bed, with Alan Scott telling Mr. Terrific and Dr. Midnight that Beast Boy was struggling to recover, but feeling sorry for himself isn't going to help. Nightwing says that Beast Boy believes he was killed. That's why he's not waking up. The trauma of Deathstroke's attack was too much. One of his best friends thought he was dying, and I failed him. Alan tells Nightwing that once he saw the Flying Graysons perform, back before he was born, and they were amazing, fearless. But when they performed, they had everyone's eyes on them, just like he does now. Nightwing sulks. "I can do it. Use that ring to lead us out of darkness, create a new Justice League, or use the Society or whatever." Alan tells him that they don't need a fancy title or a team name. They don't need them to be heroes. There are a lot of people out there still wanting to be a hero. They need someone to carry on the legacy of those that have fallen. Nightwing tells him that Deathstroke beat them. His goal was to break their spirits, to toy with the Titans with him. It's going to take a lot more than some smiles and optimism to beat him this time.
Alan says that he doesn't think that this is just Slade holding a grudge. There's something darker at work. Something is controlling Slade Wilson. But back over with Black Adam, he is now standing before the Legion of Doom, explaining his view on the situation and the need for them to permanently remove Deathstroke before he has a chance to attack again. Lex says that Deathstroke is a concern, but in our time with the totality, we observed the multiverse's truths and some lies. The idea of the Omniverse was false. It created an imbalance in our multiverse, which I believe Pariah is manipulating. We need to. Qward then shouts, "We should do nothing! Allow Slade to finish his mission, kill all the heroes, and then the brutal battle between the sides will determine a winner. Then we will swoop in and destroy the victors when they are weakened." Just then, there's an explosion destroying the hall as Qward begins to lift himself up and a heavy boot steps on his head, stomping him into the ground. Deathstroke leads his army in asking, "Do you really think that I didn't foresee this alliance? The darkness knows all. So instead of conspiring to die against me, do the smart thing and join me. Let's burn it all down together, huh?" Black Adam looks at Deathstroke, telling him that those chains that he wears, the Dark Army had them as well. And Captain Cold shouts, "Screw that! The rogues don't join anything!" As the battle begins elsewhere, in a very industrial Gotham, Barry skids to a stomp and Hal gets down asking if this is Gotham. Batman's world? Of course he'd create a world like this. Barry tells him that the Bruce here is a little different. He found him first. He tried to talk to him but at that moment there's a ting as a gear is thrown into the ground. Batman appears telling them that they are interfering with his investigation, and Barry begins to run around stating, "Here we go again!" Again? What do you mean again? Meanwhile, back at the battle, both sides are on equal footing, but off to the side, Lex is monitoring the world and finds that there is a spike in dark energy and that their foes are pulling power from an outside source. And that darkness is at the edge of the multiverse and is connected directly to Deathstroke, making him the key. Lex launches himself directly at Deathstroke, and Deathstroke says, "Aren't you supposed to be smart? How can you not see that you're on the wrong side here?" Lex punches him. "With only one eye, I lacked vision. You're just a soldier, a hired gun. It's not really you pulling the trigger, is it? I know what happened to you, your children, the Lazarus pits. People talk. Anyone can see that you're being controlled. You yourself has been through it before, had your humanity stripped away by a greater power. Trust me when I say that you will not get what you want, and I promise to help you." As Deathstroke sits defeated, Lex lifts his hand to deliver a fatal blast, but suddenly he's attacked from behind by the darkness. The darkness has spread to all of the others, and as Black Adam is watching, he yells out, "No, not again!" And watching from afar is Pariah. He watches the ever-growing darkness, stating that in the beginning there was only one, a single black infant dude, so cold and dark for so very long that even the burning light was imperceptible. But the light grew, and the infitude shuddered, and in that instant, a new multiverse was born. Out there, in the deepest parts of the void we call space, is a planet, a dying planet, one that a young 13-year-old Jon Kent can hear the screams from. But there's another cry for Jon telling him to wake up. Lois shouts that he needs to get out of bed and go help his father with a giant robot. Can he hear her yelling? Go. And be sure to tell his father that she is busy working tonight and that he has to pick up dinner, since she's the only one who has to work for a living. Something not too greasy though. Her stomach has been bothering her. Jon hurries up, putting on his costume, and he rushes into town to help Superman fight off another giant robot that is attacking Metropolis, telling his dad that they need to go pick up dinner and walk the dog. After taking down the robot, Jon and Superman head out to another planet to play fetch with Crypto. And Jon asks if he ever just wants to go. Like, go past Jupiter, Pluto, just to really get out there. Superman asks if they need to go over this again. Jon tells him no. He gets it. Superman tells him, good. We need to hurry back home. Your mother is waiting for us. Time goes by and Jon turns 14. He's still plagued with those same nightmares of a dying planet. This time he can see it. Durla, Darkseid, millions burning. He heard them dying. Lois hurries to his bed, telling him that it was just a dream, that he needs to go back to bed, that he has school in the morning, and Superman stops her. I heard them too. It happens, not every day, but once in a while, and it's horrible. We have to do our best to not let it hurt us. There's nothing that we can do. I would if I could, son. Then Jon says that they are Superman and Superboy. They save people, it's what they do. Superman says that he has already tried. He nearly died trying. But there's only one of him, and there's a whole universe of hate out there. Jon is furious. You tried? Who the hell are you? Do you think that matters? They're dying. We're just sitting here doing nothing while they scream. Superman sighs. You're right. I'm sorry. I wish I could do better. But we'll talk about it in the morning. It'll look better in the morning sun. Yellow light has all sorts of powers. It'll be okay. Time passes, and at the time that Jon turns 15, he decides that enough is enough and he's going to take the fight to Durham, where he's thoroughly reminded that just because he is a Kent doesn't mean he can save everyone. Orion beats Jon down, telling him that he is a little far from home. You're going to learn the rough and painful way that there's only one real truth in this godforsaken universe. Jon tries to pick himself up, broken and bloody. You're a monster! What makes you so high and mighty to judge me? Just who the hell are you? Seconds later, Superman comes speeding in, knocking Orion away, telling him, he is my son! Once Orion's taken care of, Superman turns to Jon, telling him that they are going home. Jon tells him, we can't! The war is here! Everyone is suffering! Superman clenches his fist and glares. You just shattered a truce that was made years before you were even born. Right now, Darkseid is deploying his armada of death. Like the billion planets before it, Earth will soon face its crisis. We will go home. We will make our stand, and we will defend our family. No one else can. At 16, Superman tells Jon that it has been a brutal year, but he did well. Heck, he did the impossible day after day. They're safe. The whole world is safe. For a bit at least. But that's why he and his mother talked, and Jon sees his new hover bike. Holy crap! Superman tells him to watch his mouth. It does 0 to 60 in a minute, tops out at 120, and that's parsecs per hour, not miles per hour. Jon rockets into the sky, telling him not to worry. And Superman tells him that he's serious. I have supervision! I can see if you disobey me! By 17, Jon is doing most of the superhero work in Superman's place. But even allowing for that, Superman can't idly sit by knowing his son is out there fighting. One night, Jon returns home after hearing the screams again, broken. He says that he tried, but Orion was there. He was murdering children. Superman yells, You went back after I told you not to? But Jon tells his father that he won. He beat him. He saved the kids. Superman tries not to yell or shout, and Lois puts her hand on his shoulder, stating that Jon isn't like him, and he isn't like Jon. This is just who Jon is. Finally, the age of 18 comes, and as much as Superman says that this is a mistake, Jon tells him that they've been over this. He cannot stay here. Not while what is going on is still happening. He isn't a kid anymore. While Superman defends the Earth, he'll take care of the rest. And he'll be back in a month to check in. And if there's any actual trouble, he'll use Uncle Jimmy's watch to call his father. Superman says that this is Darkseid's universe. There's going to be trouble. And Jon laughs. Yeah, and I'll be the one causing it. Superman opens his arms. All right, one more time. Jon tries to refuse the hug, but Superman tells him, You're going to war. I get a hug. Those are the rules. Jon gives in and hugs back his father, as his father tells him that he needs to listen for once in his life. When he's out there, he has to remember that he carries all of his parents' love with him, that it will get him through the worst, like how his love got him through this. It keeps getting him through everything, all the time. I'm so darn proud of you, son. As Jon gets on his bike and takes off, Superman watches as his son fades into the sky. He tells Lois that he was there. Here. He saw him. He got to see Jon grow into the man that he had to be. He didn't miss it this time. No, not for anything. He wouldn't trade any of this for anything. Now in a world without a Justice League, Aquaman, down in the depths of Atlantis, Aquaman sleeps, but he can hear his name being called. He suddenly wakes up to feel something amiss, but Mara tells him that she is sorry to wake him, but he did tell her to not let him oversleep. Aquaman tells her, Yes, of course, thank you, Mara. It's hard to believe, isn't it? Everything that happened between us, and it's still, well, we still endured. Aquaman says that he had the strangest dream. And Mara says that it's all over now, they can't be late. They both know how he gets. But before the big event, Aquaman needs to let off a little steam by having a sparring match with his friend, Black Manta. As Manta gets a hit in, Aquaman says that he liked him much better before. And Manta says that is real funny. You nervous or something? It's a big day. What do you think that she is doing right now? Aquaman throws another punch, throwing Black Manta, telling him that he has gotten to know her pretty well over the years. What do you think she's doing, Jackson? Just like her father, Andy is also in her own sparring match with her grandmother. However, they try and go easy on each other and try not to leave too many bruises on each other's faces. Meanwhile, back up at the surface, the caterers get the venue ready for the event as the coordinator tells one of the staff members that they need to hurry. Mr. Curry wants an update. He wants everything to be perfect. The staff member says that he hopes so as well. The Curry family deserves nothing less. As the coordinator walks away, the staff member reveals himself to be the shapeshifter Charlotte, one of Aqua Woman's enemies, and he arms all of the bombs that he spread throughout the venue. Not long after everyone gets ready, as guests begin to arrive at the event, in Flash fashion, Jess blows by everyone, nearly throwing everyone off course. As Andy's ship shakes, she tells everyone not to worry, they'll just have to forgive her partner. They're a bit of a show-off. Once things settle down, Aquaman begins to walk his mother and daughter down the aisle, whispering to the two of them that he can totally see the bruises on their faces. His mother says that she has no idea what he's talking about. But as Jackson waits for his father, Jess races by, stating that, by the way, the catering assistant is actually Charlatan in disguise. He has bombs all over the place. Jackson asks if they should be worried, and Jess says, nah, I was deactivating them as we were speaking. You shouldn't even notice them missing. A few moments later, Charlatan tries to activate the bombs when suddenly Jess says, hey, not what you were expecting, right? Right? Well, naturally, I'm a restless person. The world is just so slow. Literally can't stop moving and thinking and moving again. And Andy made me promise that I wouldn't sneak a peek at her brand new dress. I mean, I could have, but I didn't. Like right now, I'm lending you a little Speed Force so you can actually watch this. See? Look at them. Look at Andy and her amazing family. Why the hell would you want to ruin this? Her grandparents are getting their vows renewed, and Andy is going to sing at the reception. It's about the sweetest thing in the world. And you're like one of Andy's greatest villains or whatever, but just look. One of my favorite things about Andy is her big, wacky family. Awesome family that she's got. They've all been so great and supportive of us. Especially her father. Have you met him before? A split second later, Jess brings Charlatan to Aquaman, telling him, this is one of Andy's villains. He tried to blow you all up, but I stopped him. Flash fact. Aquaman stares at Charlatan and punches him so hard that he reverts back to his original self. Afterwards, the party goes off without a hitch. Everyone's singing and dancing, and Aquaman steps forward for a moment, stating, look at this. Look at what we've built. We gave this to them, and now we get it all back. And maybe one day it'll all be real, like it was meant to be. This isn't real. Not yet. I don't have everything yet. I don't have my hands around your throat. You may think that you've beaten me, but better men than you have tried, and in the end, you will all learn that not even death will hold me. I've been dead before. I have come back. And soon we'll see if you can say the same. So Aquaman's aware that none of this is real and that he's currently dead. But we're not done with these worlds turning them into weapons. Next up, we have Green Lantern John Stewart's world. Many know the story of John Stewart and how he became known as the Guardian. But before he was the Guardian, even before he was a Green Lantern, John Stewart was a Marine, a soldier. And before long, John and a lot of other soldiers were sent across the ocean to fight a war. But while he was there, just like with many other soldiers, something terrible happened. Bad enough that John did something that he wasn't in the habit of doing back then. He prayed. He prayed for the strength to save the people who needed him. And in a flash of the light, where John once stood, there stood an invincible knight, his eyes blazing with the light of heaven. That's how your brother became a superhero. Earth's first and greatest, and after the Battle of Oa, he founded a team of lanterns called the Watchtower to protect Earth while he flew all over the multiverse. One day, when he had done what he set out to do, he took his ring and he passed it on. John Stewart became an architect, just like he always wanted. And now, We all live together in the house that he built for us. He's finally putting up a fence to keep the rabbits out of the flower garden. Isn't that nice? Jon puts down his hammer. That's enough. I'm working on it. Can I stop hearing about it? Jon's mother tells his sister Eleanor, what about the war? What if the... Suddenly, Eleanor's eyes turn green and a voice calls to Jon. Eleanor begins to float in the air with the brightness of a Green Lantern, and the voice tells him that they need him. Jon asks, Raynor, is that you? And Kyle says that they have found him. Many of them have fallen. The bright revenant is with them. Suddenly, Eleanor is set back down and asks, is everything okay? Did something happen? Jon's mother tells her that everything is fine. Why doesn't she practice her reading for a bit? She needs to talk to her brother. After pulling Jon aside, Jon's mother says that he told her that he formed the Watchtower so he wouldn't have to go back. But they said that they found her. He gave her back the daughter that she buried. The same age that she was when she was lost, and she hasn't aged a day since. She knows a miracle like that has to be paid back someday. Is that day today? Jon sighs. They're called the Radiant Dead. They're the ones who killed the old Guardians. If they killed the central battery like they were meant to, there wouldn't be a core anymore. Probably nothing else. So I took the battery from Oa and I hid it. In the shape of my baby sister. It really is still her. My memory of her anyway. She's just more than she used to be. Don't worry, I'll fix this. Jon's mother says that she'll never forget what he did for his sister, but swear that he'll come back. Jon tells her that she'll never have to bury either of them again. So he steps back outside, giving his sister a hug, telling her to take care of Mama while he's gone. He'll be back soon, and he'll finish that fence. But as Jon begins to fly up into the sky, his entire body begins to shine bright green, becoming the embodiment of will. He meets with the other lanterns, and the second everyone sees him, they all cheer that the Guardian is back. He saves them. He does. Even as the bright revenant awakens and sends out its minions, it descends towards Earth to try and destroy the source of the Green Lantern's power once and for all. Even though the bright revenant killed heroes and gods of 1,000 worlds, it never fought against the Guardian. After Jon destroys the creature, the Lanterns cheer once more for their savior, and Jon returns home to Earth. Eleanor asks if the monsters will come back. Will they try and take her away? And Jon's mother tells her no. With her brother Jon around, they'll never be apart again. And last up, we have Kendra Saunders' Hawkgirl's world. For many people, they live their lives knowing that one day it'll all end. The chapter of their life will come to its conclusion, and it will be a unique ending. But not for Kendra Saunders, because she lives a life of endless deaths and endless rebirths. And that is why today is special. That is why she has found herself at the entrance of the Temple of Life. And even though this temple is called the Temple of Life, it's really anything but. It sounds fun, living knowing that no matter what, whether you die or not, you'll always come back. Like some sort of mystical video game with infinite lives. But what Kendra thought was a blessing turned out to be a curse, a burden. She realized that no matter what she did, it was something that she had done before, a life of perpetual sameness. She is no longer unique. She wasn't even a person. She was a vessel waiting to be emptied and killed again and again. Like Da Vinci said, I thought I was learning to live, but I was only learning to die. But today that changes. Today she gets her life back. She gets her mortality, and nothing is going to stop her. Inside of this temple is said to be the Vase of Mortality. Legend has it that an ancient god king created the world and made everything in his image immortal. Nothing died, and because of it, nothing lived. The beauty of the world that was once so vibrant over time turned dull. The god's son and daughter told the god king that he was wrong to make everything like them, and the god king agreed. He cried a river of tears which flooded the earth. Those tears receded, and the animals and plants all regained their luster. They knew that their lives would end, and therefore they had better get to living them. And if she does this, then Kendra has one more shot at life. She takes the vase and the drinks, and at first nothing happens, and then suddenly it was gone. All of the memories of her past lives gone. She was alive. The dream of her own future. No more reincarnation, just the life ahead and what she chose to make of it. But at that moment, the skeletons of the temple came to life and attacked. Is this how it ends? Right here, right now? No more coming back. This is her death, and that is why she feels so alive. As she fought, Kendra could feel her heart beating faster than it ever has before. That this is what it felt like before she knew about the past. that this is what it feels like to know the future is your own. Not one that is handed to you, but one that you must fight for. That's true living. That's the dream of her life. But as Kendra smashes the last skeleton, she leaves her mace and walks away. And in the shadows, a man laughs louder and louder. And as Pariah steps out, he laughs loud enough that the world around can hear him. There is a world that turns in chaos. It spins on time as everything falls to ruin. However, in the middle of the destruction, there is a sanctuary. By day, the great machine is a marvel. It spins order from chaos, the tumblers and tines of a sacred system, a metronomic megalopolis. This city is Gotham. The one who constructed this dark feed is the man known as Mr. Wax, the architect. During the day, everything runs on time. In Gotham, people live and love with peace, with pleasure, and above all, with precision. By night, when the great gears come to a halt, there is movement that not even Mr. Wax can control. The men and the women of Gotham sleep soundly, though there are predators who stalk the darkness because they know that there is something far more terrifying that preys upon them. And that thing is the Night. Armed with his cogwheels, the Night takes down those who creep in from the Madlands to get a piece of paradise. But tonight is different. Though routine taking down the thieves, one among them tonight fought back. Fruitlessly, but fought back nonetheless. The Night removes the man's mask to reveal Oswald Cobblepot, and as expected, he begged for his life, saying that he can't remember, but he was hired to move this tech, that it has nothing to do with him. The Night tightens his hold around the portly man's neck, telling him, "I have hunted you for years. Martha and Thomas Wayne, gunned down. Crying boy. Decades of investigating, false leads, connections, finally obtained a DNA match. Proof. You're the one who killed my parents." Oswald begins to laugh, asking, "Your parents? Oh, that is rich. It all makes sense what the old man said. Changing evidence, hacking the machine. Well, I have news for you. I don't even know who you are. Better yet, the Predator doesn't even know himself." Oswald begins to have uncontrollable laughter, and the Night tells him to stop, to fight it. Don't let the sneer touch. But Oswald begins to bash his head against the Knight's helmet over and over again, till he is lifeless and dead. However, in his office, Wax watches the video of the Knight's encounter, stating that he really wished that he could get audio so that he could listen to what these freaks were saying to each other. Can't he at least get one alive? Wax's aide, Jay, says, well, people don't seem to mind it. The Night has very high approval ratings. Wax yells, "This isn't about popularity. Remember the sneer deniers at the start? Did we worry about their approval? There was a plague of madness, for God's sake, a psychotic virus so destructive that the weight of shattered minds literally broke reality. How do we fight that? There's not one of those memories that didn't get scrambled. Heck, I can't even remember how this stuff even works. But we got it done, right? The machine to secure an island of sanity. We designed and built it before anyone could stop us, and..." Jay stops him. "With all due respect, there is no we about it. I saved us." Wax sighs, sitting back. "I am just the builder. I never understood this need to break stuff, to punish. It's a shame that they owe their safety to someone as destructive as..." But at that moment, in a matter of seconds, the Night jumps through the window, grabbing Max, jumping back out. Later, as Wax begins to open up his eyes, he shakes his head, telling the Night, "You've gone too far. What are you even doing?" The Night looks back over his machine, telling him that he has been running tests. Etheric engines, scanners, psychic detectors. Took them from a villain. The villain said unsettling things. Thought I'd solve an old crime. Now, unsure. These machines, I used them on myself, found anomalies, scanned the city, seeking patterns, coincidences, found a match. Wax begins to ask, a match to what? And Night pulls back both his and Wax's mask. Everything! Thought patterns, neural frequencies, psychic profile, everything! The two men stare at each other as if looking into a mirror, and Wax asks how is it possible, and Night tells him, one of us is counterfeit. Knight goes on, points of commonality, pain that binds, a trauma like treasure. And Wax tells him that he's kind of hazy about what comes next. The plague, the collapse, it scrambled everything. But then, a Knight picks it up. The divergence. You are a soul fated to build wealth and intelligence, yes, but more so, charm and hope, enough to engineer a miracle. Wax tells him, I've always hated the name Wayne. It's like to wane, to fade out. Then there was another soul, one doomed to darkness, a soul whose gravity was its pain, whose bright corneas of identity collapsed in the foam and force of its own hatred, who chose to become a myth. And then a voice calls out to Knight as a group of men with their faces covered walk in and whisper something. Wax looks at the scars on each of the men's heads, asking, what? And Knight says that they are the 3 red beasts. Informants, listeners, watchers, my family. Who are they? Wax says, I know who they are, but they're... And Knight pulls down the face covering. Sneer-touched. Yes, a minor operation. It cures the madness, leaves them pliable, blank, and useful. Knight walks over to the computer. The equipment that you seized emitted a signal, sent it to my sons to track it. The two head into the Madlands as Knight says that it's intriguing. You never wondered who killed your parents? Wax tells him, of course I did. But what difference does it make? Better to improve the world for everyone than fixate on one sick guy with a gun. Somebody had to do something. Try to fix the madness. Knight tells him that is inaccurate. Can't solve chaos, only destroy it. Only a child thinks that he can turn the world into clockwork. The city is a lie. Out there is what's real. Chaos and horror. Only a half-wit would think that it's curable. That's how I know that you're the copy. Soon the two pull up to an old dilapidated building, and as they step out, they're suddenly attacked by a chained-up Sneer-touched. Knight throws his cogs to stop one of them, and Wax asks, who would do such a thing? And Knight tells him that it's the only person that it can be. The mastermind behind all of this, the author of chaos. Just then, the doors open and an older man with a gas mask walks out. Hello, boys. As Wax and Knight enter, Wax asks, Alfred? But isn't he? And Alfred asks, went back to dear old Bloody after your parents' demise? Convenient fiction, I'm afraid. But please, come in. The two follow into the home and into a lab, and Knight asks, what is all of this? Alfred says that originally the equipment belonged to one Professor Jonathan Crane. He was experimenting on his own patients, exploiting their aberrations. Imagine he thought it was going rather well until they brought in inmate 3141. This inmate was a nameless drifter, killer. But his unique physique overloaded Crane's machines even though they atomized his body. What emerged, what escaped, defies sense. A distillation of insanity, a psychic virus strong enough to overthrow an entire world, but not Gotham, not him. It is here that young Master Bruce studied the aftermath of Crane's catastrophe, the electric miracles of Maxi Zeus, the nerval trickery of Jarvis Tech, the cryogenics of Victor Freeze. I could go on, but Crane had reduced them all to data. As the sneer touch raged outside the city, Master Bruce saw an opportunity, a way to harness horror, to build paradise from the black science and purge any madness that had slunk in. He realized that he'd never achieve it unaltered. There was too much conflict in him, his drives, his genius, the savior and the destroyer. In a different world, their polarity might have made for a stronger composite, obsession tempered with conscience, but here it held him back. So he cut them apart. Wax asks, which one of us is the fake? Alfred tells him, both, neither. The first body was copied so perfectly that it makes no difference, only the psyches are distinct. Alfred flips a switch, starting the machines, telling them that unfortunately, it simply isn't effective, that you both know that. We've tried it once or twice. I'm dreadfully sorry, Masters. Erasing memories, uploading new criminal evidence. This will be the 53rd time that you reset. Sooner or later, one or both of you will always find a way back here. As Wax and Knight collapse, Red Beasts come in and pick up the bodies, and Alfred tells them to take the boys home. They should probably thaw out another nemesis. Later, Wax wakes up in his office forgetting everything that just happened, and Knight finds the villain that he's been hunting for years. He finally has the DNA evidence. Victor Zsasz is the one that killed his parents. So this story is actually pretty cool. I really did enjoy it. It's a concept of, in an alternate universe, what if Batman and Bruce Wayne were truly separate, and Alfred was the mastermind trying to steer them to the goal? And what if they never could get there because Batman just will not agree with something that is fake? I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun, but what do you guys think down below? But before we can wrap up today, there's one more story to be told. There's the Worlds Without the Justice League Zatanna universe. There's magic in the world, but most people get it wrong. They define magic as extraordinary, but power can be obtained, created, destroyed, and the only true magic, the unbreakable magic, the impossible to recreate magic, is time. There's never enough time, and time is running out. They're coming. She has to find someone first. If only she could slow time down. She can feel it as she travels Earth to Earth. She could feel someone trying to stop her. Not yet. She can't go back yet. This is her one chance. Here, no, here, maybe. As Zatanna appears, John Constantine stumbles out of a diner, taking a deep breath, finally stating that he made it. She makes it bloody hard to get a hold of. She can't keep this up. She isn't infinite. She's going to deplete herself. Zatanna asks, "This is my world, isn't it? I'm in control. Who the hell are you to tell me what to do?" John tells her that she knows exactly who he is, and then transforms into herself, stating that she took the form of John because as much as she hates to admit it, he is often the voice of reason in their life. She is no god. She wanted control, but she knows more than anyone else that they don't have control over time, that the clock is ticking. At that moment, there's a voice, and Zatanna knows that it was the one that she had been searching for. It was the voice of her father, Zatara. No matter how much time passes, she still feels like that young girl who just wants to spend time with her father, who looks at him like he hangs the moon, the stars, and the whole world. Zatara says that it's about time, and Zatanna smiles, stating that she wanted to make sure that it was all just right. She couldn't bring him back, even though she missed him so much. Zatara hugs her, stating that they've now got all the time in the world, and Zatanna says that that's not true. At that moment, there's a flash of light as the liberated Justice League members arrive, telling her that it's time to leave. Zatanna says that she knew that they'd find her and that there wouldn't be enough time. Batman tells her, "Trust me, no matter how you shaped this world, it'll never be enough time." Zatanna tells him that he's right. But that's the thing about time. It's the most powerful magic that they never stop fighting. Zatanna pulls out her magical sword. Okay, let's go kick some universe-distorting ass. It's been a while since Wally and Barry essentially traded places, when Barry and Mr. Terrific tried to pull Wally's consciousness out of the Speed Force. Since then, Mr. Terrific has been working on a way to track Barry, similar to how they tracked Wally. But he finally got a lead that isolated Barry into one of 3 locations. So with the help of Max Mercury, Jesse Quick, Kid Flash, and Jake Garrick, Wally and the others are about to jump into a portal, entering the Speed Force to try and bring Barry home. This is a mission for the entire Flash family, minus Impulse. Bart's a little busy. But before going through the portal, Linda stops by the lab with Jai and Iray. Linda asks if she could talk to Wally for just a moment. Jai and Iray shout that they want to help with whatever it is that they're doing, but Jay tells them that this is superhero business. Unfortunately, you kids can't come along this time. Linda pulls Wally aside, telling him that something happened. But right then, Mr. Terrific opens up the door, telling everyone that they need to go get ready. Each of them will be given a device that is tuned into what they think is Barry's resonant frequency. So once they locate Barry, they can just press the button on the device and it will signal Mr. Terrific to open the portal and bring them all back home. This should be an easy snatch and grab for the Flash family. But Iray expresses her desire to want to help, grabbing one of the devices off of the table, grabbing Jai by the arm, and the kids leap into the portal. Linda runs over, surprised that her kids just jumped into a time Speed Force portal. They're fine, right? Everything's going to be okay? And Wally turns to his wife. Of course, there's going to be 2 teams. I and Kid Flash are going one direction while Max and Jesse follow behind. Linda looks at Wally and tells him, "The kids, Barry, bring them all home, Wally." Wally pulls down his mask. "I will. That's a Flash fact." And with that, they all leap into the portal. Mr. Terrific going back to working on his computer, asking Linda when is she planning on telling Wally. Was it going to be today? Linda tries to play it off, confused. What do you mean, Mr. Terrific? But he just chimes in again. "Your powers. I know about them. You need to tell Wally that you've gained Speed Force powers when he gets back. We'll figure things out then." Max and Jesse are the first to fall out of their portal and find themselves in the middle of the desert. Jesse asks where are they, and Max says that it reminds him of his old stomping grounds. Maybe they can ask those people who seem to be speeding in their direction chasing someone. Suddenly, an explosion goes off, and as the two look at the person being chased, they realize that it's this world's Barry Allen, that they've traveled through time to find a past version. But in another timeline, Barry wakes up with his beautiful wife, telling him that he is Barry Allen and he is the luckiest man alive. In this world, Barry is married and has 2 children with Iris, and everything is seemingly picture perfect. Even when called to stop Captain Cold in this ideal, perfect world, he is joined by his kid Flash. And while Wally starts to rescue all of the civilians and passerbys, Barry begins to focus his attention on Captain Cold, sneaking in his own hits here and there. And after making a ring of ice on the ground around him, Captain Cold managed to trip, launching himself into a nearby building. Captain Cold takes aim once more at Barry, but as he fires, Barry grabs a mirror, deflecting the beam, freezing Captain Cold instead. Barry and Wally cheer at their triumphant victory, but watching them from a nearby building is Wally and Wallace, with Wallace asking, What's going on, Wally? And Wally looks at him. I have no clue, but we're gonna find out. There's a rumble in the wastelands as a pack of apocalyptic stylized cars roar down the barren lands. The head of the group is this world's Barry Allen, fighting through his last chance to save the world. Barry bites the pin on a grenade, tossing it out his window to get one of the cyclists off him. And Jesse and Max realize that they don't have as much time as they'd like to stop this before everyone gets hurt. They go into different directions to take down the motorists, tossing them all from their cars and bikes when Barry Allen suddenly stops getting out of his car. He walks to the back of it, opening up a trunk, stating that Terra Mongus thinks that she's going to stop him. He's come too far and he won't stop now. Boom. He spins back, firing a rocket into the oncoming semi-truck. But Max Mercury speeds through, pointing it in another direction to miss the truck. Barry asks, what in the waste? And that's when the semi stops and Jesse jumps out. Hey, Jesse Quick here. This is Max Mercury. We're looking for our friend Barry Allen. This world's Barry Allen tells them that he is Barry Allen, and he has never seen anyone that looks like them before. Jesse and Max sigh. We're on the wrong Earth again. And Barry tells them that wherever they come from, they should probably head back. Quick. Jesse asks why, and Barry looks back. That's why. Terra Mongus races in on her monster truck, shouting, You have something that belongs to Terra Mongus, Flash! She fires her cannon, and Max quickly grabs Barry, moving him out of the way before his car explodes. Jess then says that she really hopes the others are having better luck. But with the others, Jai and Ray, the children of Wally West, have decided that it would be fun to help look for Barry by sneaking into the portal when everyone was leaving. However, in their case, they've been split from everyone, and they have found themselves in a Gotham-style city frantically trying to just get home. But before they could figure out Mr. Terrific's watch, a figure appears. What are you doing in my city? Ray says that they're looking for their uncle, and Jai tells her to just shut up and run! Ray grabs Jai and takes off, with the figure stepping out. Speed powers? Henchman for knives, no doubt. He can make as many as he wants, but I can still run them out of the city, because no one can stop the Night Flash! The caped Barry Allen of this world rockets towards the two kids, but as he tries to grab them, Jai manages to punch him back, giving them some time to breathe. Ray checks her pockets, quickly realizing that during their escape, she may have dropped the watch, which is the only way for them to get home. At that moment, another shadowy figure pokes out of an alleyway, telling them to come this way. They don't have much time. The two follow the figure for a few seconds before Barry Allen arrives. Where are they? You can't hide forever in my city. Do you hear me? My city! But over with Wally West and Wallace West, the two spot this world's Barry Allen, and Wally notices something is a little off about this one. This world still has Wally as Kid Flash, but the Barry that's down there looks older, like he's the proper Barry. After the current world Flashes take down Captain Cold, Wally tells Wallace that they should split up. He'll take on Barry. Wallace tells him, all right, I got it. I'll tail this Kid Flash. But as Barry runs back home, getting ready, he begins to enjoy his perfect life. That's when he stops, and he realizes that he is now in front of Eobard Thawne, Reverse Flash, which is not actually Reverse Flash, but it's who Wally West appears to be to this world's Barry Allen. Barry looks at him. You! And Wally asks, why are you looking at me like you're gonna punch my head off? A second later, Barry knocks Wally into a wall, unleashing a barrage of punches, with Wally just yelling, "Wait, hey, stop!" He vibrates through the wall to get away, but Barry vibrates, chasing him. "You can't get away from me like that. I invented this trick." But on the other side of the wall, Wally hits him with a cyclone, telling him, "I'm sorry about this. I didn't come to fight. I just want to talk." But Barry grabs bits of the debris, throwing them back. "This stops here, Thawne." Wally runs forward, grabbing him, yelling, "No, it's me, Wally!" But Barry then sees multiple figures. "Wally? No, it's another of Thawne's tricks. I'm not falling for it. I'm done letting you torture me. You're never gonna hurt my family again." Barry begins to beat Wally down. But, over with Wallace, he sneaks into this world's Wally West's home. Or at least so he thought. As Wallace watches Kid Flash walk into the house, suddenly he appears behind him. "Hey, we've been waiting for you." Wallace is confused. "Wait, what happened to my Flash suit?" Wally asks, "Flash suit? Everyone knows you're retired. Besides, who needs the Flash when Burst has the Western Hemisphere on lockdown?" Wallace then asks, "Burst, But as Wallace looks down, he sees that his costume has changed from his Kid Flash costume to a black and silver costume. And he asks, "Where did this come from? What's going on?" Wally pulls him inside. "You're just in time for dinner. That's what's going on." Wallace gets ready to tap on his watch to return home, just declaring that he doesn't understand any of this and he's feeling kind of, but Wally stops him. "Look, come on in, Ace. Everyone's waiting for you." Wallace follows and immediately sits down at the dinner table with the former Flashes and current teammates, telling them, "I'm starting to remember now. This is right, exactly how it's supposed to be, where I belong. I'm finally home." Once the coast is clear in the alternate Central City, the young boy who saved Jai and Ray says that it looks like he's gone. Jai asks who was that guy, and the young boy tells him that man, the Night Flash, is Barry Allen. Jai says, yeah, we're not in the right universe then. Ray says that it might sound crazy, but they're not from this world. The only way to return home would be by using the watch that she dropped when they escaped, so they need to go back out there and get it. The young boy says that they don't understand. The Night Flash is insane. After the accident, he gained his powers and used them to rule over like a dictator. Ray yells that they can stop him, but Jai tells her that they can't. They gotta go back home. The young boy says that if they really want to find the Night Flash, he can take them to see him. Meanwhile, with Jesse and Max in the Wasteland version of Central City, Tara Mungus is yelling to Barry Allen to give back the Pearl or she'll use his blood for fuel. Max asks, "What are they talking about?" And Barry Allen holds out a large pearl. "This is the last piece of magic left in this world, the last bit of hope." With no answer, Tara Mungus yells, "You have chosen violence! Get them!" Barry sighs. "I have to take this pearl back to where it all started, but I won't get very far with those monsters on my tail." Max and Jesse tell him that he can leave the monsters to them. It's kind of their specialty. While Barry heads off, Max says, "It's nice, you know. No matter where we go, Barry Allen is a hero, no matter what world we land in." But over with Wally and Wallace, Wally is trying to fight off the crazed Barry, while Wallace is removed and told what a great life he has here. As Barry has Wally pinned, Wally begins to yell, "You gotta remember, I'm not the Reverse Flash! This isn't you!" But Barry tells him, "You almost had me, but you're done! Goodbye, Thawne, forever!" Just before Barry could deliver the final blow, a portal opens up and Linda flies out, punching Barry, shouting to get away from her husband. Barry looks up. "Linda? Linda Park?" And she tells him that it's Linda Park West, and no one hits her husband except for her. Barry is confused. "I know you." She grabs him, telling him that that's because they're all a part of a family. She doesn't know what's going on, but they need him. Iris needs him. Ray and Jai are missing. The Justice League is dead, Barry. Barry shakes his head. "Wait, hold on. Hold on. I remember. Pariah, the world. I remember everything." As Barry comes to, he helps Wally up. "I'm so sorry." And Wally tells him not to sweat it. He's just glad that he's not being punched anymore. Barry then asks, "What did Linda mean?" So Wally explains the entire Dark Crisis situation back on Earth. And Barry tells him, "The Justice League isn't dead. They're all on planets like this one. Whatever's going on, Pariah is in the middle of it. We'll need the League to stop Pariah. We need to find the others." He tells Wally to go back because the real world is going to need him. He's going to get the Justice League back. Back over in Dark Central City, the young boy leads Iray and Jai into an alleyway and tells them to wait. The Night Flash could be here at any minute. And just as he said, the Night Flash appears and Iray gets to work punching and kicking him down. The Night Flash jumps back to his feet and turns to the young boy. "What did you do? Did you turn them into mindless slaves?" And the boy says that he was just using willing pawns, that's all. And maybe they wore him down enough that he can finally kill him like he killed his mother all those years ago. The Night Flash gets ready to defend himself against a knife-wielding boy when suddenly Jay Garrick appears, grabbing him. "If you hurt those kids!" Jai yells to Jay, telling him to wait, and Jay turns back, hugging them. "Kids, I was so worried." Jai informs them that they're fine, but this kid, and the Night Flash stops him, "That isn't a kid." The boy begins to laugh. "Looks like I've overstayed my welcome. Until next time, Night Flash." And the boy suddenly speeds off, with Iray stating that she is confused. So Night Flash states that the night that his parents died, the chemicals splashed on him and also splashed on the boy. The boy's name is Knives Maroney, and he didn't just get speedster powers, but he also started to age backwards, and he's been fighting him for over 20 years. Jai and Iray tell Night Flash that they're sorry about fighting him, but Night Flash tells them that they thought they were doing the right thing. But he too could have realized that there were heroes like him out there. Jay then shakes Night Flash's hand and tells him that he wishes that he could stay, but they've got their own troubles to deal with. Over in the Wastelands, Max and Jesse are getting to work fending off Terra Mungus's gang, while Barry hurries over to the tower just behind them to return the magical pearl. As he walks into an all-silver room, Barry tells himself that this is it. This is where it all started, where the fraction landed. Everyone who died, Wally, Bart, Jay. Let's pray this works. He smashes the pearl onto the ground when there's a sudden rumble. As the tower begins to fall, Max and Jesse double back to save Barry as he falls out of the tower, and they ask if he's all right. Once the dust settles, Barry tells them yeah, for the first time in a while, he thinks he is. But back with Wally in the original Barry, the world begins to crumble, and they quickly head home to where Wallace was, and Wallace asks what is going on. Wally says that there isn't any time for an explanation. The world doesn't seem happy that they're on the move. Suddenly, all of Wallace's perfect family begin to run around him, stating for him to come home, come home. Wally opens up a portal stating that he has so many questions, and Linda says that they can answer them when they get home. The four enter the gateway, and Wallace asks, "What do I tell Iris?" And Barry says, "Tell Iris that I love her, and I'll be home as soon as I can. But for now, I'm proud of all of you. Forever proud. Keep everyone safe, all right, Wally, Wallace, Linda?" Wally and Wallace tell him that it's just like he taught them. And Barry smiles as he changes course to find the Justice League. Linda says that she hopes that he knows a good florist, because Iris deserves all the flowers in the world. The three of them run out and into Mr. Terrific's lab where the others are already waiting. And once all the welcomes are done, Jai asks, where is Uncle Barry? Wallace says that he's alive, but he's trapped in some sort of a dream planet. Linda snapped him out of it, and now he's off to save the League. Max says, "League? I thought that they were all dead." But Wally tells him no, they're out there, and Barry seems to know how to reach them. Jesse then asks, so they just wait until everyone returns? Wallace laughs, asking, when have we ever waited for anything? We're gonna do what the Flash family does best. We're going to save the world. As the corruption of darkness infects the multiverse, the fight between Deathstroke's army and the Legion of Doom is raging on, and Black Adam calls upon the power of Shazam! However, he's quickly silenced as Sinestro places a lock over his mouth before he could say anything else. Sinestro and the others tell him to join them, but at that moment, a portal opens up and Sideways steps out looking at the scene. Holy crap! Mr. Terrific hurries over, grabbing Black Adam, telling him that he's got him. Now let's get the hell out of here. Just as quickly as Sideways' portal opened, the portal closes, leaving Lex Luthor to fend for himself. Back at the Hall of Justice, Black Adam catches his breath, asking, "You saved me. Why?" And Nightwing tells him, "You left your Justice League communicator on. You're lucky that we found you. If it were, say, the Legion of Doom, they would have left you for dead. Did you find what you needed, Mr. Terrific?" Mr. Terrific says that he was able to do a quick scan of Deathstroke and the Dark Army. Slade is the key to everything. His forces not only attack heroes, but they spread the darkness. And as that darkness is growing, so too do the foes of the dark multiverse. They are on the edge of a massive crisis. A dark crisis. Meanwhile, over on Earth Batman, the world that was created to turn Batman into a weapon, Barry Allen, who is currently freed from his imprisonment, races around Batman trying to tell him what's going on. Come on, Bruce, we've done this dance before. And Batman tells him, after our last meeting, I'm prepared. I don't need to hit you, just create something to stop you. He throws a small device that literally drains the speed force out of Barry Allen. Hal tells him, but are you prepared for me? And Hal Jordan chimes in. If you're prepared for him, that means that our Bruce is still inside. This prison world is fading. Hal looks at his ring, seeing his ring telling him that this world is just an illusion. Huh. My ring's not gone. It's just hidden. But it can't hide from my will. Batman turns his attention to the Green Lantern. Your will is nothing. There is only night. Is that so? Maybe in order to make you realize that this world is fake, I have to show you the real world, Bruce. As Hal projects an image of the entire Bat family, Batman stops, seemingly coming to his senses. How? He begins to feel weak with Barry catching him. Hey, that wake-up moment can be a real doozy, but we need your help. Green Lantern lands asking, so how do we free the rest of the League from these fake realities and get all of us home? How do we make them see that their worlds are a lie? And Batman turns to his two allies. Who else do we know that is an expert in the truth? Back on Earth Zero, the call goes out to gather as many heroes as possible, ranging from the old and the new. But there's one that no one expected to respond. Beast Boy, wearing an eye patch, stepping out. I survived, and I got a score to settle. Nightwing runs over telling him that he was so worried, but Beast Boy tells him, I know, I could tell you were by my bedside the whole time. Alan Scott chimes in. It looks like we've got our first line of defense. The JSA have total faith in you. Nightwing tells him that he wishes that they had more time, and Alan tells him, it's always like that, isn't it? We'll handle the multiverse. Make sure that we have a home to come back to. But at that moment, Jon Kent calls out holding a machine. Nightwing, the Great Darkness is not controlling Pariah. Pariah's mind has corrupted it. But we weren't able to find out how. However, we did extract Pariah's original antimatter chamber. It was the machine that Pariah built on his world that would trigger the destruction of the original Infinite Earths at the original crisis. At that moment, Wally and the other Flashes run over. Hey, we've got company. There's a rumble as Deathstroke rallies his army outside of the Hall of Justice. If there are any heroes, past, present, or future, I warned you! Everyone preps to hold the line, but as Nightwing is stepping forward to lead them into this final battle, Black Adam stops him. Are you insane? You are marching towards death! What makes you think that sidekicks will succeed where many others have failed? The multiverse will not be saved by mere children. You are not the Justice League. And Nightwing looks back at every one of the heroes, every one of the sidekicks, every one of the children. Yeah, we never were. We're the Titans! As the fighting begins, Deathstroke walks through watching. These children are trying to step into their parents' shoes again. How many times does that have to end in tragedy? Then he looks over at Ravager. Except for you. Prove me wrong. Kill Nightwing. But as the fight for the Hall of Justice is well underway, over in Superman's private world, it's already started to come undone as he sits on his farm looking at a picture of the family. After a few moments, he tells Wonder Woman that she can put the lasso away. He already understands what is happening. Barry tells him that he can move them all between worlds, but he can't get enough speed to get them out to join the confrontation. Superman smiles. You've done enough, old friend. Hal will find a way to bring us together. Thank you. Hal is surprised. You know, Superman's surprisingly calm. That's because he's angry. When he's really calm, it's because he's really angry. Batman informs him. Superman says, I tried to escape this world many times, but it wouldn't let me. So instead I studied it. Pariah has used our minds to build our dream worlds, but I've become lucid. This place is only a prison so far as our imagination will let it be. Pariah thought that he could keep me trapped here by giving me a happily ever after with my family. He thought it would be enough. But it was still a world without the Justice League. For us to escape this place, we have to focus on our friends. The one thing that is real in these worlds. Meanwhile, back with Kyle Rayner and Joe, Pariah is watching as his infinite Earths flood into the multiverse. At last, my world will return! However, as the worlds begin to break apart, he is puzzled. What is going on? The Earths, they're unstable. I'm losing power. At that moment, there's an explosion as Superman appears, leading everyone. You're done. End this now! No! No! My machine needs your power for infinite Earths to return. This is far from over. I killed you. Your very existence is tied to these new worlds created in your image. If these worlds die, you will be erased. Soon my curse will be lifted, and I will know happiness again. The multiverse will be restored. Superman steps forward. At what cost? What you're offering us isn't real. Neither is what the darkness promised you. At that moment, everything begins to shake as Pariah asks, do you feel it? Your hopes have finally been answered. The crisis calls you. What happens next is on you. Pariah fades into nothing, and down on Earth, the effects of his machine can be felt. While still fighting against Deathstroke, there's a massive explosion. On the moon, Hal asks, what did Pariah mean? If they go home, the Justice League will be erased? And back on Earth, Black Adam says, I was right. You weren't enough. Today is truly the end. The true darkness is here. And before them, adding to Deathstroke's army, is Pariah and the rest of the Dark Army. There is a hall that is known as the World. It is one of the most famous buildings ever constructed, populated by living gods and people of steel, capable of unimaginable feats. However, there is another hall. It is not known all around the world. It is not spoken at all. And yet, it is from here, beneath the Hall of Justice, that war against the magical forces has been waged. As the great darkness approaches the Earth, it's where Jade and Obsidian have been summoned. In the room, they find Jon Kent, Nightwing, Yara Flor, Dr. Fate, Raven, and two Swamp Things, Holland and Levi. And finally, John Constantine. But also joining them is their father, Alan Scott. Dr. Fate explains that the Great Darkness is coming to Earth because it has somehow become corrupted, stating that he and Constantine have a plan, but it does not come without any risks. Alan then says that in the past, lantern rings, particularly his, have shown a connection to a primordial darkness. Obsidian stares for a moment, telling them that he knows why they brought him here. They want him to connect with the darkness and bridge the gap through his father's ring. But for him to do that, his father would be filled with so much darkness that he could never come back from it. Neither would anyone in the ring. He can't do that. He won't do that. John then gets up telling everyone that they believe in him, that they think that Obsidian can do this. So going into the ring has already been decided. The two Swamp Things tethered to the green, a half-demon sorceress and a laughing magician, and the new Superman, who just like his father would never ask others to undertake a risk that he would not. Once everyone is mentally prepared, Obsidian takes a deep breath as he begins to connect the darkness through Alan's ring, and suddenly all 5 of them are sucked within it. They arrive in a green construct city, and only 3 of them stand: John, Raven, and Levi. Raven asks where are Holland and Constantine. They were just with them. And Levi tells her that Alec Holland is a memory in the green. He has no human will to manifest in this place. He resides within him. As for Constantine, he does not know. But they must move quickly. The darkness will soon overwhelm this place. John then says that he'll fly up to get a better look, but as he goes higher, he sees a pair of eyes looking back at him, and he comes crashing back down to the ground. Levi says that this world is all wrong, a product of a stalemate between 2 wills that cannot hold. Raven says that she cannot teleport them in a place where there is no here nor there. Frustrated, John gets back up, throwing the car that he landed on, asking, "Why can't I fly?" 3 of them travel by foot, but elsewhere, John Constantine continues to plummet deeper and deeper into the darkness. Of course, while everyone goes to save the day, I'm being tossed between dimensions into the dark cranny with no up and down. A voice then says, It sounds like you're not afraid. Jon lights a cigarette. I've had my share with darkness. It starts to look the same after a while. Soon, something begins to manifest before Jon, taking shape, and it's the Upside Down Man. Things are looking rather bleak this time, aren't they? Jon tells him that it always looks bleak. Isn't that your whole thing? The Upside Down Man stares him down. Is it now? Well, we sought out the Great Darkness. And Jon asks him, then why has the Great Darkness returned? And why now? No, you've got it all upside down. Has he really returned, or has he been waiting for the lights to go out and the show to begin? Back with the others, they continue to make their way through the city, but the more they walk towards the Pillar of Darkness, the more they realize they aren't getting any closer. On top of that, the darkness is beginning to seep into each and every one of them, causing them to start to question things. Jon and Levi are lashing out at Raven, stating that they shouldn't have even brought her. They could have figured out another way. But Raven responds that it's Constantine's idea to bring her. Levi tries to bind her, but Raven breaks free, and Jon yells, "This is like a home for you, isn't it? Fire and nothingness without an end. I have a feeling you don't even want us to leave this place." She scoffs, telling him that he is threatening a companion in anger over his own ignorance. How un-Superman-like. As their fighting grows, back with Constantine, the Upside Down Man begins to change forms. Do you not see? It is only in your presence that I am free to be who I really am. The form turns red as Trigon steps out, stating that the truth lies in the extremes. Doesn't it? Do you know if Jon Kent can live up to his father's legacy? Is Levi deserving the trust his world puts in him, even in this dark hour? And Raven, is it not only because of I that she strives so hard to be anything but herself? Constantine laughs, taking a drag of his cigarette. Is this all supposed to be some kind of test? The fighting outside rages as the darkness spreads within the minds of the three of them as they get closer to their objective. But they begin to realize how much of a problem this is going to be. Raven can't get near the darkness. If she did, it would consume her. It would get a hold over her that would be absolute. They all begin to debate as to what they should do, who should fight against the darkness. But it's Levi who puts his hand on Jon's shoulder, telling him that his father might not be here. But he is Superman. The darkness will consume them individually, but together they might have a chance. He is a child of Krypton, but he is also a child of Earth. They are human, and at their best, they raise each other up. But as our heroes are trying to push through this, back over with Constantine, he realizes that Trigon, the Upside Down Man, they're all just the darkness changing shapes. Can't you see, darkness? I'm not one to get all emotional about goodness of light and hope and other such figments. I've been around long enough to know what they really are. But you've been watching for a long time, and you should know by now that in the darkness, people will always find their way. The darkness begins to change shape once more, spreading its wings. There you go, blaming me again, when all I have done is come to you for a little chat. Do I not, even for a moment, deserve love and adoration bestowed upon me? All of the time that I've been in existence, have you looked at me with anything other than fascination? Can't you see? We all sit here in the black for all eternity, and my flicker will be the only light that you will see. I would never snuff you out, because you'll manage that all by yourself. Even the Great Pale, this dark crisis, is of your own making. While Constantine communes with the darkness, the armor-clad Jon Kent presses into the darkness, asking, is this how Levi sees everything? He can see all of the scales of time and space simultaneously. There are nations beneath his fingertips. Nations! Levi yells for him to focus. Even with their support, the mind cannot endure close proximity for long. Jon makes his way through the dark and begins to see something sticking out. He reaches in, grabbing a hold of it, pulling and pulling and pulling until finally it gives way. Jon holds whatever it is, and over with Constantine, he looks at it. That's Pariah's machine, isn't it? It's him. He's the fulcrum of all of this. The darkness says that he has given him all of the answers that he can. But remember the favor. Now go and do not darken my doors again. Soon the light begins to shine as Superman begins to walk out with the ring holding Pariah's machine, and along with them is Constantine. Jon tosses the machine, stating, thank God, we were gonna go looking for you. But Constantine tells him not to worry, just having a chin wag with the dark. You all did the hard work. Levi separates himself from Jon, and Jon looks at the machine, stating that he doesn't know what it is. But Dr. Fate says that this is Pariah's. This is the machine that started it all, the first crisis. Jon looks at everyone. It's all Pariah, isn't it? And Constantine says the darkness isn't the corruption in them. They're the corruption in it. It was endless. No sensations, no sounds, no smells, nothing to touch. Everything that was ever known was erased because of his sins, and can you imagine what that was like? To be alone in the dark with just your thoughts for millions of years? Then there was a voice. It stopped him from going insane, so he shared his inner pain with it. The voice disappeared after that. It took a lifetime to hear it again, but that voice led them to today, and he won. The true multiverse was restored. At least that's what Pariah thought to himself, watching his dark army tear down the heroes that fought against him. All he ever wanted was to erase his original sin, and even now it's doubtful that he'll ever escape the darkness that he is lost in. Pariah mutters to himself. Deathstroke asks why is he subjecting him to the same fate then? You promised to end the legacy of heroes, not return to a bunch of worlds. Pariah holds out his hand, forcing Deathstroke to his knees. Did you forget that the darkness still gives me power? Deathstroke grunts. I did what you asked of me. I got your army together. We've created a crisis. Now free me of this pain! Pariah tells him that he will get his way as soon as this world and its heroes are gone. Deathstroke grabs his staff, telling him, Fine! I just need more lambs for the slaughter, so I'll bring them. Across the battlefield, the final battlefield, Roundhouse attacks and Nightwing tells him that he can fight this. You have to break free of Pariah. Ravager swings her sword, narrowly missing. He lies! How many of his students has he left behind before? More and more of the heroes continue to fall, and then a roaring engine can be heard as Jace Fox speeds in, mowing down whoever he can in his way. Jon tells him that it's a nice bike, but Jace tells him that he isn't joining any kind of a team. But he can't sit on the sidelines while people get hurt. And he isn't alone. More heroes begin to join the fight. Contrary to Jon's request to join the Justice League, they realize they just need to be here. And while things begin to look like they might be getting okay, like they might be winning this fight, Pariah joins the fray, obliterating as many heroes as he can with a wave of his hand, reducing them down to nothing more than bone and dust. But while things begin to look bleak inside of the Hall of Justice, Mr. Terrific and Black Adam run out with Pariah's antimatter cannon, telling everyone that they may have a chance if they just get it up and running. Jace looks at the machine, stating that his dad and brother might be geniuses, but he knows a thing or two about this. Pariah looks back, asking, Is that my machine? Dark Army, stop them! All of Pariah's forces begin to converge on the cannon as Jace asks what do they do about that? Without even thinking, Jon Kent flies out and Yara Flor asks what is he doing, and Jon says to her, This is a job for Superman! Pariah orders everyone to focus in on Jon, but while distracted, Yara uses her lasso to capture Pariah, telling him whatever voices he is hearing in his head, it is not the Great Darkness. You need to see the truth. Pariah looks around at all of the destruction. The voice. I can hear it. It tells me what to do. I was in the dark for so long, alone. It can't be a lie. You lie! Pariah breaks free of Yara's lasso, and Jon faces off against some of his father's greatest foes, fighting harder than he's ever fought before. But as Jon is beaten into the ground, Pariah turns his attention solely on Yara, telling her, The universe understands. It will reward me for returning the infinite Earths, and then I will finally know peace. At that moment, there's a flash of light, and the antimatter cannon activates. The box closes in around Pariah. He tries to fight against it, but his body begins to fade away as he says that he could see it. My curse. It's over. I see my world. My family. Jon Kent sits up smiling. I did it. I bought them enough time. I hope my dad is proud of me. He closes his eyes, awaiting his fate. Doomsday charging in, prepared to end the son of Superman, the new Man of Steel. And just before Doomsday could take his life, there's a sudden boom! Jon opens his eyes to see his father standing there, holding back the punch. Using what strength he has left, he combines it with his father, punching Doomsday away. He turns back. You're alive! Mom is gonna be so happy! And with that, he collapses. Superman catching his son, telling him, "Take it easy. You've done enough. You kept things safe while we found our way home." Jon looks at him. "We?" Superman smiles. "It took a few detours, but we followed the light. With the help of Hal Jordan and the Flash, those that were seemingly killed had been consumed within Pariah's world, and they were now freed, and they were quickly turning the tides of battle." Mr. Terrific looks out, stating that the multiverse is still in danger. The damage that Pariah's infinite Earths caused is still here. "How are things looking on your end?" Alan Scott responds, stating that his ring is stating that the darkness still spreads across the multiverse. Whatever Pariah did is not done. Zatanna then asks the biggest question. If Pariah has been stopped, why is his army still possessed? Flash says that power like that won't disappear. The corrupted darkness must have gone somewhere else. Beast Boy shuffles forward. "I tried to stop him." And another voice follows, much deeper and much more sinister. "I don't care about the multiverse or any of you. A contract is a contract." Deathstroke approaches, infused with darkness, holding up Nightwing's body. "And I won't be done until you're all dead." The world was starting to burn, and among the heroes with no superpowers, no mega weapons, or any sort of invulnerability, Damian Wayne stood there shoulder to shoulder with some of the greats. Even as the fight was looking to end in their failure, he was about to snatch victory from the hands of the army of the supervillains. Even with the Cosmos' heaviest hitters getting ready as soon as the small armies fell, the heroes had hope. However, hope was not the plan. With only the briefest of moments, Damian told Jon Kent his plan, and Jon leaned into it, telling him, "I can't abandon the fight, not now." Damian looks at him. "But you're gonna be fighting Doomsday. That's your worst nightmare. Do you really think that you can defeat him?" "I have to try. My father would. I can't spare many soldiers, but take a small team. And if you don't," Damian stomps him, "I will. Trust me." So without Jon, Damian is left to assemble a bare-bones team. He decides to take Sideways for transportation. He took Power Girl for his muscle, Dr. Light for the energy, and the brains as well, Damian. So as Sideways opens up a rift, they see a girl in red running through, about to be crushed by a truck. Damian rushes in to push her out of the way, but that also means pushing her through the rift that Sideways created. As everyone lands, the girl in red falls flat on her face. "You can't fly or land gracefully. Got it. What's your name?" The girl gets up, telling him that her name is Red Canary. "Got it, but canaries can fly." And she tells him that she's working on it. Power Girl looks around the abandoned subway, asking where are they, and Sideways says that he just went where Robin told him. "Sorry about the rough landing. It's been quite a day." Damian tells everyone that they're on a need-to-know basis, but yes, they are on a different world. Everyone steps out onto the main street, where it's revealed that they have made it to Earth 53, a world where the Justice League were apes. Red Canary asks if that means that there are ape versions of themselves. Damian tells her that it doesn't matter who lived or died here, a world where the Justice League were apes. Using a watch that he borrowed from Mr. Terrific, Damian informs them where they need to go. But as Damian is trying to figure out where to go, Red Canary realizes that the clouds appear to be alive. Power Girl realizes that they're not clouds, but they're actually shadow demons. Damian turns to Dr. Light, asking if she would please take him up to the platform, and Power Girl grabs a hold of him, stating that they're going to want Dr. Light on point for the shadow demons. He could say please later. Damian scoffs as he folds his arms and ever politely says, "Thank you." Once Damian is dropped off, he begins to hack his way in, while Power Girl and Dr. Light hold back the shadow demons as best as they can. While Dr. Light can easily handle anything created of shadows, Power Girl is struggling with the fights, telling Damian that whatever he is doing, he might want to hurry it up. So after a few moments, he yells that he's got it. If they follow this branch, okay, I know where we have to go to find the chains and take control of Pariah's dark army. Suddenly, all of the demons begin to withdraw. As Sideways yells that they did it, they scared him off. But Red Canary asks, "Did we?" Because it looks like they just all merged together into one big cloud monster. As a giant merged shadow demon reaches out, Power Girl and Dr. Light are trying to hold it back, and Dr. Light has an idea. She tells Power Girl to turn her attacks towards her, and Power Girl asks if she's sure, and Dr. Light tells her that she can absorb all kinds of light, hence the name. Power Girl turns her heat vision towards Dr. Light, amplifying her light energy, resulting in destroying the shadow demons. Sideways opens up a rift into the tuning fork, stating that they have stopped the giant one, but all of the little ones are still coming. Let's go. Everyone jumps through the portal, and Power Girl looks around, stating that she can't read this place. Her X-ray vision can't penetrate the walls, and they're soundproof even from her hearing. So the five quickly and cautiously proceed, with both Power Girl and Dr. Light beginning to find their surroundings familiar. Both Power Girl and Dr. Light were here during the first crisis. Damian finds a terminal with power, which he accesses, and an AI program begins to boot up. Power Girl says that she remembers that face. It's the Harbinger. And just as power begins to come back on, Harbinger shouts that now she is operational. Shut her down immediately. All of her systems were devoted to keeping the Dark Army locked out of the House of Heroes. They can't be allowed to breach the Orrery of Worlds. Damian tells her that she has been turned off for a while now. The Dark Army isn't even here. They can use her to, but that's when there's an explosion with Sideways yelling that it looks like the Dark Army got some new recruits. Harbinger begins to call out that the station's protectors have been compromised. The Great Darkness has subjugated the Justice League Incarnate. President Superman from Earth 23 and the rest of the Justice League Incarnate burst through, and they immediately set their sights on the Orrery, with Harbinger yelling that they need to stop them. Sideways asks how are they supposed to stop all of these people with superpowers, and ouch! Captain Carrot bites down on his shoulder, and Power Girl punches him off, with Damian helping Sideways, stating that they should have ripped him in half. It seems like the Justice League Incarnate are not operating at full strength, just like the rest of the Dark Army. But if they were to break into the Orrery, they would be able to infect all of the worlds at the same time. But what if they broke into it first? Harbinger says that she would not recommend it. No mind is meant to endure the cosmic conceptual space inside of the Orrery. Mary Marvel punches the glass hard enough to break it, and with no other options, Dr. Light phases herself through the glass as pure light. As she soaks in the light, she says that she understands. Pariah's technology connected him to the Great Darkness. However, the Monitor made her part of something too. Something inside of her already shines across the multiverse. And not just the 52 worlds, but the infinite worlds. With the glass weakening, the infected heroes begin to turn their attacks towards Damian and the others, while Damian makes the decision to send the infected out into the bleed. They will need to buy Dr. Light as much time as possible. Red Canary warns that they don't even know if the Justice League Incarnate can survive out there. They're still technically good guys, but Damian says that this is war, and they need to make hard decisions. But before they can make that decision, Dr. Light returns, infused with pure cosmic light, and she begins to remove the chains binding the Justice League Incarnate, allowing them to return to their normal selves. Captain Carrot tells Sideways that he's sorry that he tried to eat him, and Sideways laughs nervously. Haha, right, no worries. Dr. Light then says that things didn't work as they expected, but the Orrery at least showed her how to fully embrace her light ability. Damian says that they'll make do. If they can't take the chains of the Dark Army, at least they can break them. All right, everyone, get ready. It's time to take this fight back to the Earth. Are you prepped? Everyone stares for a moment, and Superman whispers to Mary Marvel that she has the wisdom of Solomon, right? What are your thoughts? She asks, do they really want to follow a kid into battle, given what they know about every Robin trained by every Batman throughout the multiverse? Yeah, they should do it. With that, Sideways opens the rift back to their homeworld, and they enter with more heroes than expected. More and more of the world being engulfed in darkness, Nightwing finds himself suddenly surrounded. He's in a new world, a new landscape. Where is he? What is this? He hasn't felt this lost since his parents died, but that's when a voice cuts through that darkness and begins to speak. You said it yourself, the darkness never truly goes away, Slade says as he steps out in his Deathstroke outfit. You can light all the pretty candles and make all the hopeful speeches, but in the end, the dark will always prevail. That's the only true legacy. Pariah was a loon who was thinking that he was talking to some great darkness when it was really just a voice in his head. But the darkness that he created lives on, and it's got a hold of me too. But unlike Pariah, I'm not alone. Through the black and thick void, Deathstroke steps out with his sword, asking Nightwing, "You ready for round 2? Nightwing looks at him. What is this? You knew it was always gonna come down to us. You feel it, right? Your old man and the Justice League are making a comeback, throwing everything that they have and the kitchen sink at me. The newbies tried to hold their own. You led them into battle. It was a nice try. But you just don't have what it takes." Nightwing looks at him. Why are you doing this? This is so unlike you. How much of this is you and how much is Pariah's control? At the start, this was Pariah. He made a good argument. Our world needs to die. I've seen this world hurt my children too many times. You could have been there. You could have just been a father to them. I was there. I was the one that brought the hurt into their lives. I'm sick of being something that I'm not. That's why I'm shutting it all down. No more hurt, no more pain for anyone. This is a mercy killing, and it's gonna be my legacy. Nightwing fights Deathstroke in the dark with the rest of the heroes outside, continuing their struggle with Deathstroke and his army. The darkness slowly begins to take root as everyone is pushed to their absolute limits. There's one that makes his final stand. Black Adam. He thrusts himself into the center of combat, stating that Darkseid had warned him that he was the key to defeating Deathstroke. He had seen it, but there was so much that he was blind to. He dismissed the heroes, and they still saved him. Then he betrayed them. He thought that he was the only one with the will and the power to stop the darkness. And I was right. That's why my name is Black Adam! He grabs Deathstroke, the magical lightning striking down, but it doesn't destroy, it empowers. The smoke clears, and Deathstroke realizes that the darkness no longer has a hold of him. I'm free. What did you do? The darkness can't touch us. That was my gift. I shared my powers, a piece of me, so that we can defeat the darkness together. Deathstroke laughs at that. You thought I was dangerous, but now I'm just a weak and powerless fool. You may have freed me from Pariah's darkness, but it's already found a new home. In a Nightwing. Nightwing is now alone as the darkness corrupts and drags him deeper. Soon he'll be just like Deathstroke. It's too late. Everything will be swallowed by the darkness soon. Meanwhile, the Flashes are attempting to use the Speed Force to try and stop the spread of the darkness from infecting the rest of the multiverse, but even their efforts are proving fruitless. That is until the new Dr. Light tells them that for years, she would stare at the stars, feeling incomplete. Pariah felt that the Monitor gave him a curse. She saw it as a blessing. Pariah and the others before him failed to save the infinite Earths because they wanted to control them, to find perfection. But perfection is boring. The multiverse needs to be free, to be infinite. As the infinite Earths are added back into the multiverse, Mr. Terrific tells everyone that they're doing it. It's stabilizing their multiverse powers, the infinite. The Dark Army begins to recede, and Deathstroke continues to fight against Black Adam, telling him, "We both know these new kids are not worth our time, yet you fight alongside them to protect them." Another kick to the face, and Black Adam pulls himself up. "I would die with them." That's touching. It appears the multiverse gets to live another day. But we must stop the children from following in our footsteps. At that moment, a blue light begins to shine over the battlefield, and Nightwing tells him, "You'll never get it. We aren't following in anyone's footsteps. We all walk together. No matter the world or the generation, we embrace our history alongside the new. To bring hope to everyone. That is our legacy." He breaks free of the darkness within, knocking Deathstroke aside. "Why can't you see why I did this? I didn't want what happened to my children to happen to your children. No one should ever know that pain. I would rather the whole world burn instead. If this is the day that I die, then legacy dies with me." Deathstroke charges at Nightwing, but he's stopped by his daughter, Ravager. "Rose, you're done. You need help. Please trust me, Dad." Deathstroke falls to his knees. I didn't want to hurt you like I do." She tells him that she knows. As the darkness passes, so does the red skies. Families are reunited. The heroes are starting to return. The young are celebrated. The world is slowly beginning to rebuild. Deathstroke, his body was ravaged by that darkness. When it was purged, it stripped him of the serum that gave him his powers. Right now he's alive, but he's in constant pain. However, there's also someone else who felt the world might be better off without Deathstroke. Later, the sun shines upon the Hall of Justice. Black Adam watching its construction when Superman and Jon Kent see him, and Jon says that it looks like somebody got his powers back. Superman says that when he joined the Justice League, people doubted him. "Black Adam, you've proved them wrong. Thank you."
I really don't care if anyone doubted me. I am not one of you, but the world was in danger and I did everything in my power to save it, including sharing it. Now it is time for me to return to my own responsibilities. The next time that we meet, if you or any of your kind get in my way, there will be a war. But Kal-El, your son, at least he didn't die like you. Black Adam then flies off with Jon confused if that was a compliment. It was, son. It was. Elsewhere, Nightwing is rummaging through the debris when he picks up a candle. Batman leaps down, asking what is it. Nightwing explains that Black Adam said the Justice League was dead and he never believed them, because if they were really gone, he'd know. The others feared a world without the Justice League, so he made a speech to make sure that everyone knew that they could keep the light out for them. That as long as the candles were lit, that their legacy would live on. The candles made them feel safe the same way that this one did for Batman when he first took the vow, and for Nightwing when his parents died. Batman takes the candle, snapping it. Nightwing is confused, but Batman explains. He put on the cape and the cowl for the first time. He was alone on the streets of Gotham against the darkness as it tried to drown him. The candle was never the light in the dark for him. It was him. Heroes don't need candles or speeches. They only need the through line that unites them. That's why he was able to contain the spread of darkness within himself until the infinite Earths were restored and Pariah's darkness fade away. That's why Nightwing prevailed. And only Nightwing could have done that. I'm proud of you. We all are. We'll rebuild the Hall of Justice to be a home for heroes. But it's time for a change. There will no longer be a Justice League. We don't just need new members. We need a new mission and a new legacy. And if anyone's going to lead us into the future, it's going to be you. Nightwing is taken aback. That's a lot to take in. I'll have to think about it. The two of them are interrupted as Oracle reports of a new mission, and they grapple out, ready to go again. However, just because the multiverse was saved, not all are concerned about the worlds that are not their own, as a figure presents their case before the Council of Light. This figure says that they must do something. With no Justice League and the current heroes disorganized, it can only add to their troubles. The heroes are a problem. Orders need to be given, and if they are disobeyed, they should suffer incarceration. These heroes have defeated aliens, monsters, and gods, and now the resurrected Justice League, well, they appear to have beaten death. That's a step too far. Something must be done to ensure humanity's survival now before it's too late. The figure speaks out, and the council tells them to hold their tongue. But they agree. The metahumans are too dangerous, and they need to be controlled or imprisoned, and they must take steps that they have never allowed before. So Amanda Waller, you have full permission to utilize every resource to fully eradicate metahumans from the world. The light shines upon her new team as she smiles. Finally.
And there you have it. Both crises on Infinite Earths. What did you guys think? Which was your favorite? Let us know in the comments below, and as always, be sure to like and subscribe, and join us next time with the next Supercut. Rest in peace, Benny.